Please confirm if you are live. Because it's giving me a different setting asking for Facebook. Don't worry, just pick it up. Okay, good evening, everyone. Please confirm in the comments if you can hear me loud and clear. Who is excited to be here? So my name is Kaisusa Osawaro, and I'm going to be your moderator for this event. And I see all of your messages. A lot of persons are joining earlier. Just kindly comment where you are joining us from, if you can hear me. Okay, you can hear me. That's awesome. So just drop where you're joining us from, your city, your country. Okay, so I'll be waiting for your comments as to where you are joining us from. So I want to especially welcome you to the AIAN Summit, which is an abbreviation. And I want to just be sure that we know this organization. So can anybody comment what the full abbreviation, what's the full meaning of AIAN in the comments? And who knows, there could be a gift prize for you or the first person. Okay, Christian says African Integrative Agricultural Network. Are you very sure that that's the meaning? Okay, so you're correct, Christian. Thank you very much for sharing that. So I want to welcome you to this virtual summit with the theme Unveiling the Possibilities in Agriculture for African Youth. So if you are on this live session right now, I want you to clap for yourself for making it here today. And trust me, if you stay till the end, you're going to learn about wonderful opportunities that are available for you and how you can make use of them. Okay, I'm still seeing your comments. Thank you. Um, Also, don't forget to drop your location where you're joining us from. You can see that we have 16 persons live with us right now. Okay, so up next, I'm going to bring in the introduction of our convener.
Is an agricultural economist, innovation strategist, and founder of the Africa Integrative Agriculture Network, AIAN, a leading social enterprise championing circular economy solutions, youth inclusion, and sustainable agri-innovation across Africa. A first-class graduate of agricultural economics from Benson Idahosa University. Her work sits at the intersection of people, processes, and purpose, helping communities unlock the economic power of agriculture through education, policy engagement, digital tools, and business models that work. She has trained and inspired youth and women across Nigeria and Africa to reimagine agriculture not just as farming, but as a system of wealth creation. When she's not consulting, training, or writing, Osaragwe is actively building platforms for young Africans to thrive through innovation, agribusiness, and global collaboration. She recently authored a book titled Agriculture Beyond Farming, a pathway to economic prosperity, a bold exploration of agriculture as a driver of national transformation, youth empowerment, and inclusive wealth creation. It features real-life African case studies, culturally grounded insights, and practical blueprints for agribusiness innovation. Her vision is clear: to help Africa feed itself and the world through a generation of agripreneurs and leaders.
Professor Garvey, who is our keynote speaker for this virtual summit. So I'm going to be bringing up our introduction in a few seconds.
Is a trailblazer in education, entrepreneurship, literature, and community leadership. Her life reflects resilience, innovation, and an unwavering commitment to uplifting communities while honoring cultural heritage. Prof. Malope has built a complete educational ecosystem from Tutel Agriculture Primary School to Tutel Agriculture University alongside the Vision Quest Institute. These institutions integrate indigenous knowledge with modern science, preparing students to be skilled, culturally rooted leaders. Her ventures extend beyond education. ZOFM Radio amplifies community voices. Massimo Clothing uplifts agricultural workers with culturally inspired apparel. And Ganzi Mining and Petroleum drives economic growth with a focus on sustainability. Across all, her philosophy is clear: progress must be inclusive, empowering, and heritage-driven. Through 4 books, including The Unanticipated Life and The Return of the Soldier, she shares lessons of resilience, health, and collective growth. Her writings inspire courage, unity, and bridging personal triumphs with broader social transformation. Prof. Malope embodies the fusion of tradition and innovation. Her schools nurture minds. Her business empower communities. Her books inspire change. And her motherhood anchors her legacy. She reminds us that true leadership transforms lives, not for a moment, but for generations.
Okay, who's excited to be here? So right about now, I'm going to bring up our convener with a standing ovation and a clapping with a round of applause. Let's make welcome our convener, Miss.
It's an
Okay, so welcome, welcome, welcome.
Fantastic. Thank you, everybody, for joining in today. I'm super excited. This was just I would say it was just like a dream for me to do this, and today it's now live. Having to be able to launch the book today and having to be able to also do the conference as well. African Integrative Agricultural Network is like my baby, and I am super excited about what we represent on the continent. And also, I am also super excited about the speakers that are here today, you, the participants, as well as my panelists as well. Thank you so much for believing in this dream of unveiling the possibilities of what is within agriculture for the African youth. Personally, I'm doing this because I know that agriculture in itself, it's a viable means to economic empowerment. And I know that once we're able to explore the potentials that lies within it, we're able to create more opportunities for our teeming population. We're able to feed ourselves as a continent, and we're able to create prosperity for ourselves. And I also believe that the starting point for this is awareness, is knowledge. Most people are not aware of the possibilities that are within agriculture. And that is one of the things that this event seeks to achieve. That is one of the things that this event seeks to accomplish. And that's why we're doing this. And so, right about now, I would also just like Professor Gabi to join me up stage as well. Professor Gabi happens to be the Vice Chancellor of Tutelage University, South Africa. And Professor Gabi has been and very instrumental on this journey for me. She has been very encouraging, very every time I tell her, Prof, I'm thinking about doing this, she's just like, go, where to go, mama, where to go, mama. So uh, without her help and her support, we wouldn't have the book today. And so it's something I'm really, really grateful for. If you see the way Professor Gabby supports me, it feels like she has known me for probably over a decade. And I've not even known Professor Gabby for up to a year, but her impact on me has been so tremendous, has been so tremendous. So thank you so much, Professor Gabby. I am really, really grateful to have a person like you in my corner. Thank you for the support. It is borderless. I'm all the way here in Nigeria, and you're able to provide the support for me all the way from South Africa. So thank you so much for being this. And guys, Professor Gabi also forwarded the book. It takes a whole lot for a person to forward your book, for a person to give you recommendations, to say, oh, I believe in this thing that this person is saying. I believe in their work. I believe in what they stand for. And so thank you so much.
Thank you.
Prof, you're mute,
Thank
so we can't hear you.
my tech guy there should be
Okay, we
able
can
to
hear you now.
unmute me. Yeah.
Yes.
Apologies. I see when something big is gonna happen, you always have to dance on the tune so that you can really go to your Canaan properly. So thank you to the viewers. I must also take this time and appreciate you for hanging in there. Like I said, in order for you to cross to Canaan, you have to go to your Egypt. So sometimes things like this, when they happen, we need to appreciate the universe because some we're going to miss this opportunity to sit and have this afternoon with us. So thank you so much. Also, I'm so proud of you. I look at you and I don't know if I'm old now, but I'd say I see a younger me in you. Um, Building a base of sustainability because our world today has actually taught us to get things easier and faster, but you are reminding me that it was through process that today I could be walking this journey with you. And it's also amazing how we are united in different ways. And today you've got over, I don't know how many guests are sitting just to come here and learn and support you. So please pay forward always, and remember that you are not serving just in Nigeria, you are serving the continent at the moment, because I saw other countries that I know they came to sit here. But thank you so much for having me, and I'm also looking forward to hearing from the other speakers, though I'm going to be connecting with them while I start transiting, because sadly for me, I get and I accept everything that goes with development and impact. So I have other engagements that infuse development and impact, and those are like scattered outside of my aerial states. Thank you so much. And of course, to our tech guy, I must say thank you now, because without you, we wouldn't be sitting here comfortably at our own houses to engage with the world out there and share from here. I'm looking at this book today, and I'm seeing quite a lot of what you have. I got so emotional while I was trying to put the forward, because I'm asking myself, if everything that is in this book was to come live, what would the world be? What would be Africa without this kind of solutions? Because that's what we are crying for. And I'm taking this focus to look at the young people of Africa. Every day when I speak, I say SADC. I do no longer speak about South Africa alone, because South Africa without Africa is not. So everything is Africa and everything is SADC. That's all of us. So I must also just apologize. I've been having a cold that goes in. I'm actually laughing because every time I'm gonna have a session with you, somehow my voice goes on a trip. But this is now a sign that the purpose is big and the calling is massive. So you always have to go through this kind of spaces for you to transit and grow immensely. So I'm checking this landscape of South Africa. I'm checking the landscape of East Africa, West Africa, and I'm seeing that young people today in agriculture spaces. I mean, you are one of the people that have made agriculture to look more sexier, by writing and sharing a story. And this is what I always say, that can we have authenticative knowledge bearers to write this knowledge of agricultural journeys, not the scientific way. Because if you're going to tell an agriculture story and you are not resonating in the agriculture space, you are just selling us a scientific space that we cannot even get into. But this book, I'm going to start there. That's my point of departure. The book stimulates a young person, Gen Zs, to look at their space and use what they have to turn it into, a processing, whether it's agro or aquabs, it's anything. But we are so privileged that we are reading a book that takes us from where we are now to the next decade, and where young people are going to be leading, methodologies, system, and making sure that it's also sustainable. One thing that came out very strong for me was to also look at the book, and I said, this is sustainability on a handbook. Now, we need young people to come in. A young person that has got a skill in journalism, they now have to look into fishing into agriculture space, because in agriculture we tell stories every day, and the stories are endless. The documentation of this narrative are endless, because the
True.
plant that you harvested today may not be the plant that you're going to harvest in the next season. The
True.
storms and the droughts that you experience are not the same. But also, it's the survival system that you trench into. We've got a landscape of agricultural education which has not been infested to. And I'm actually very happy to share that at Total University we curated sectoral MBAs. We are not doing masters, we are doing MBAs, because we have done masters, we've got a lot of masters holders, but we need entrepreneurial graduates right now, self-employable entrepreneurial graduates, because the universe and the world cannot absorb everyone into a workspace. We need to move
True.
into that space where they create their own incomes. For example, somebody said to me, I'm a vet, I qualified, and I said, why are you not having your own community clinic and train your own community
Mm,
animal health workers? That's a career nobody has actually told anyone about it, where you can become a community animal health worker without becoming a vet, and but also progressively going into becoming a paravet, or obviously a vet later on. Those are the opportunities where you can even have, and of course, complying with your country's standards of veterinary, where you can even have community mobile clinic, and the communities have got
yes.
livestock. and it's not going to be easy for them to carry this livestock to take them to the cities where the clinics are. But you can actually create a mobile clinic where you can actually be visiting these communal farmers, servicing their livestock, and making sure that at the end of the month you invoice them. That's a business, you know. And those things
Yes.
are not written, are not curated in books. We have to apply them. And the young people are having smartphones in their hands. Sadly, the smartphones remain smarter than them always. And I always say, when I buy a device, I always want to make sure that I fiddle with every app in it. And if I don't understand and it doesn't serve a purpose in my life, I delete the app. I make space for a new app that will impact me. Furthermore, we've got drone farming that is not been fully, in messaging into. Young people must know that requires them to build and develop apps. Today we are sitting into this summit, and I saw on the screen it says that I am backstage. Interesting enough, I'm at my house, but it tells me you are at backstage now and you're gonna go on the main stage. It ultimately says we need to build apps where we don't have to wake up every morning checking all the livestock, how they are feeling today, but using the drone to actually do animal disease identification, treatment administration, where it can tell you the dosages that you need to use. And this also helps to those that have studied different qualifications coming into the space. I'm talking about somebody that has studied accounting. you know Part of the reason why accounting, farmers are not doing so well in accounting for their produce and productivity is because we are not trained to be accountants. We are trained to be subject matter experts in agriculture, but somebody has to learn more on agriculture while they've studied their accounting in order for them to assist us account. So these are the opportunities that young people must look into. I spoke about journalism. I spoke about accountancy. I'm speaking about advocacy, which is, agricultural lawyers. There is so much bureaucracy when I have to do trading with other countries, and I am so limited. I mean, some of the students or young people that we know studied law, but they are not really doing so well into other companies or institutions. Here's an opportunity. Go and review your qualification, merge it with agriculture so that you can become an agricultural lawyer, and you deal and facilitate trade businesses into the ports of multiple countries, because once you get one access, you are gone. I'm talking about a young person who wants to go into processing. There's so much that we can do in food, but we have less people. Everyone moves to processing, but we have less people or young people moving into food preservation, where things should not rot and withdraw. Because remember, in farming, you will never get passion funding budget where you are funded for your emotion to take this. And again, we need to re-streamline the mindset of young people when they look into the eyes of farming, where they think you walk in today, you become a millionaire, you buy a truck, and you drive your private sports car, and then you own a chopper 6 months later. In agriculture, you firstly have to sell your soul, your spirit, and your emotion to the soil, to the ground, and then you rise above that. You start not calculating money, you start calculating assets, and that accumulates to wealth. I have this saying also that I tell people when it's my kid's birthday. I tell them, don't buy my kids plastic toys gifts, because for me it's pointless, because they're not gonna use that in 6 months time. But if it's my kid's birthday and you feel you want to bless them, please bring them a goat or a sheep or a cow, because in that way, rest assured, should anything happen to me as a parent, my kids will have a livestock that will take them to school. Not so long I posted an image of a certain phone and cows, and I said, this is you buying this device in 1 year, and in 2 years, the screen is cracked. But if you buy kettles now, in 2 years, you've got five. So that simply means that we need to change our thinking capacity, and we need to, paradigm shift us. Our lifestyle is a whole ship. In order for us to turn it, it requires us to invest ourselves into it. And when I look at the young people of Africa, There is a career again in agricultural photography, which is one of the MBAs we have curated. We need proper pictures to display our produce, not the ones that they take and they cannot even identify. You know, when you've studied agriculture and you've got photography, you are even able to identify if there's fungus on this vegetable or crop, there is an infection, or there's bugs, there's pests that needs to be cleared out, because other people are suffering from diseases that are not DNA wise, but they actually collect them from crops that are not well maintained and how we feed them. Then you come to translators. And in a qualification where one has got a qualification in translation, we've got agricultural communities that cannot read all English. We need translators who are going to be able to take the information and package it properly so that communities can read and understand how to apply, the fertilizer, the pest control, everything that has to do with understanding. Intellectual stimulation is our sustainable kit. Remember that today we have eaten, we're feeling nutritionalized. It's all the work of a farmer. Now, if the farmer cannot understand what to put, how to manage, and how to maintain it, we are slowly walking away from legacy farming, where we are farming using our hands to measure. We are used because now everything is expensive. I cannot just collect the seed and want to just throw it and not actually make sure that it's going to come up and sustain the yields that I want. We've got livestock that the feed as well, you need to no longer feed from poking with your hand, throwing it, and for your livestock to eat. Now everything is expensive again with the processing. There is other feeds that we don't need to buy. We actually need to produce it ourselves. What are we doing with smart farming? Young people today, if they don't have any form of farming in their life, it's no longer because they don't have land, it's because they do not have the capacity, or they either not interested at all. Because if you don't have the land, you definitely have the concrete where you can farm and do the same thing. And using the vertical and the horizontal farming system, we now can farm in bottles, pots, plastics. You are no longer having an excuse to hide from where you say I don't have land. And with you farming inside a plastic, you get a cup of water to fill into that plastic to farm. Broken ornaments in the house can now be used to farm. I mean, one of the mini aquaponics I have, mini farm I have, I use these bathrooms that breaks from and the geysers. I turn them into mini aquaponics where there's lettuce on top and there's tilapia at the bottom, my favorite fish. And going to East and West Africa, that is my delicacy. And again, we need to start producing our food in big numbers. You've got food that you don't even need to pay. Why are we still paying for certain vegetables, and why are we not producing it? You look at our landscape, we also have so many crops which you can even do inside the house, where you've got a wall. I was looking at my wall the other day and I said, Lord help me that I don't remove all these pictures and put my green wall, and this will also be helping cleansing and cleaning oxygen inside the house. So in a nutshell, I am simply saying there is so much for young people in Africa. There is so much for young people globally, internationally, in every aspect, or across the universe. We have a lot that we must get into. It requires us to step into the footsteps of young people like also, and just start building your path in any other academic systems that you can already have. Build the one that will shield you. And agriculture, we know in agriculture you cannot be demoted, because how can you be demoted from producing food? That is the only career where there is no demotion, there is no termination of contract, because the world and is hungry, must be fed, and that is entirely into our hands. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so very much, ma'am, for that wonderful conversation. I want to believe you can hear me. We had a bit of technical issues over here.
Yes, I can.
Okay, awesome. So, part of what got to me was how you made it so relatable. How sometimes when people think about agriculture, they think about the big tractors and all the big equipment. But you made us realize that it's the little things that we do in our own personal space that actually matters. The plants that we have in our compound, in our backyard, the green plants that we put in our walls to clean up the hair. All of these things that seems very little are what contributes to the big stuff that would get to experience if we really want to utilize the opportunities available in agriculture. And so I want to say thank you so much for sharing that. If anybody has questions, can drop that in the comments. Meanwhile, I also want to bring back Mr. Saragwe to the screen too as well.
Thank you so much, Professor Gabby, for that. Thank you for bringing so much light to the conversation. I like the part when you talked about the legal, part that will help aid our trade as well as journalism. I think we were talking about something like that. I think two days ago, I called you like four past 4 a.m. Nigerian time, and you were like, I'm driving somewhere this morning, and I was like, I think we should create a course that's like AG communications, and you're like, sure, let's go for it. And just hearing you talk about it today, it means a lot. And part of the reasons why we're having this conversation or this summit today is just helping people see there's so much beyond just tilling the soil and rearing animals as regards agriculture. And thank you so much for bringing so much light to that on the conversation. And thank you so much for coming in today. Our technical person, is there any questions for Professor Gabi before we let her go? Because she has to like sort of drive back. She's in one town and she's going back to another town, so she has to like sort of leave us at this time. Are there any questions?
Currently, there are no questions, so I believe that will be all for now. Except she wants to say any other thing about the book or final remarks for now.
Okay. Thank you so much for that. Professor Gabi, there are no questions, but thank you so much for being part of this. Thank you so much for endorsing me and endorsing the book. And thank you so much for what you represent all the way from South Africa. And I am so privileged to be part of what it is that you're also building over there. Guys, for you that don't know what Professor Gabi is doing, she has a full academic system, institution from primary school, secondary school, university, and even an MBA program just suitable for agriculture. Just a very specific program. So that's a lot that she's doing for the continent. So thank you so much, Professor Gabi, for joining us today.
Thank you, and all the best to the other speakers, and all the best to the viewers. And they must stick and support this channel so that they can get the fittest worm very early, because this is where we're going to be dishing out also opportunities that they can hedge into. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so very much, Professor Nade, and for that. Okay, so I just discovered that my mic was muted. So I was saying that thank you so very much, Professor Gabi, for that wonderful presentation on the keynote speech and the recommendation for the book and everything. We appreciate you, ma. And also that there's a link displaying right on the screen to getting your copy of the book Agriculture Beyond Farming. So you can just copy that link and type it on your browser to get your copy of the book. And I recommend that every single person on this live session right now gets a copy. You'll be glad you did. So right about now, we're going to be bringing up the next speaker. But first, we're going to have to do an introduction. So that will be coming up in a bit. Okay, so we're going to have a little bit of change in the schedule. So we're going to be bringing up our next speaker, which is Christian. But first, we are going to bring up the introduction, which I am displaying in a few seconds.
Technological innovation. With a master's degree in international business management from the University of East London and leadership certifications from the esteemed Leadership Trust in Herefordshire, UK, Christian skillfully blends real-world impact. A pioneer in sustainable agriculture, Christian is known for his remarkable achievement of transforming an 8-acre forest into an 18-acre thriving integrated garden, demonstrating his visionary ability to unlock the hidden potential of underutilized land. His work exemplifies resilience, innovation, and sustainable growth. Beyond his agricultural success, Christian is a committed community builder. He has trained over 350 youths and women annually, empowering them with practical agricultural skills and life-changing opportunities that extend far beyond farming. His people-first approach emphasizes capacity building as a pathway to long-term food security and economic empowerment. Christian's leadership has expanded farming operations over 40 hectares across Ogun and Lagos states, creating wider access to food and promoting sustainable livelihoods. His work is driven by a clear mission: to contribute to a hunger-free future where communities can thrive through innovation and inclusive growth. With his deep dedication to sustainability, strategic partnerships, and human-centered solutions, Christian Onyenka is not only shaping the future of agriculture in Africa, he is inspiring the next generation to lead with purpose, creativity, and impact.
Okay, thank you very much. Right about now, we're going to be bringing up Christian. So I hope you're ready for us. Please let's bring him up with a clapping round of applause. Please, I want to see your emojis in the comment section.
Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. How are we doing today? I hope you can all hear me loud and clear. Thank you for the privilege to share the platform with Professor Gabi. And thank you for this opportunity to speak to us about the role of African youth in building a circular food system. Before I commence, I want to say congratulations to Osas for for the book launch. I believe this is long overdue, and I'm glad it is coming from someone in house. It's high time that the story of agriculture is being told globally. And thank you very much for taking a bold step, towards making that happen. I want to appreciate the entire team, the virtual team, the IT team, for ensuring that we are enjoying a seamless presentation and conversation. Thank you very much, everybody. Um, Please give me a thumbs up so that I know we can all hear me loud and clear. Okay, talking about the role of African youth in building a circular food system. Let me start by sharing a very short story with us that will form a background to our conversation this evening. So, imagine about 50, 60 years ago, um, we had a very large family that was into agriculture, and the dad was very successful in his business as an horticulturist or agro-scientist. But while that was going on, you know, a lot of effort was being put into ensuring that the children got quality and good education, and a lot of them, went ahead studying medicine, studying computer science, studying um, oil and gas engineering and all the likes. And while this thriving, successful farmer, you know, by the time he was attaining his retirement age, discovered that none amongst his children took after his, his own line of assignment, and everybody went ahead doing different things, and nobody took the part of nobody took the part of agriculture. Now, imagine we have a population, you know, spread across the entire, African continent within this generation, striving towards the same purpose and ignoring agriculture. It now brings us down to what we're experiencing now. We have very few youths in the space. People don't see this space as being appealing. People don't see this space as being professional. People still see this space as um, not a place that they want to be. And you begin to ask yourself, why did this happen? What happened to agriculture? What happened to food sustainability? What happened to growth? But again, a paradigm shift as a result of some generational carelessness. You know, a lot of people see agriculture as a dirty business. Youths are not interested in agriculture. You know, even when you go to the academic environment, agric is not held, in the same class as um, those that are studying law, medicine, engineering, journalism, and all the likes, because we feel that subsistence farming is the way. That poor farmer there is going to provide my next daily meal. And I remember growing up, they always tell us the story that, look, it's good to be a doctor, it's good to be a surgeon, because your role in the environment is very important, you know, and not just your role, it also accords you the opportunity to earn higher. You earn higher, better pay compared to other professions, you know. And one of the things they do say is, as a doctor, your assignment is to save lives. But again, what is the assignment of a farmer? What is the assignment of somebody in the agricultural space? On a daily basis, imagine if people can't get their daily bread or their daily meal. a lot of lives will be gone. So it means on a daily basis, whether we like it or not, consciously or unconsciously, a farmer is busy saving lives, saving continents, saving economy, saving a generation, but yet they are not getting the accolade that they deserve. Why is this important? A paradigm shift in agricultural development. Circular food system represents a fundamental shift from the conventional linear take, make, dispose agricultural model. What we tend to prioritize is sustainability, efficiency, and inclusivity. This can only be driven by a tech-savvy generation, and we already have a tech-savvy generation right now. You know, proud to now, everybody's clamoring agric. Every platform you go to, agric, farming, agric. But 20, 30, 40 years ago, nothing was happening in that space. And that created a big hole, a big vacuum. You know, and that is why we found ourselves where we are. Shortage of food. You know, food is always the prices of food is always rising. So much challenges within this space for us. Agriculture is the backbone of Africa's economy, and the challenges cannot be overemphasized. We have inefficient resource utilization. You know, we have climate change impacts. We have land degradation. But when we look at circular system benefits, what circular system help us to achieve is reduction of waste. Helps us to optimize resource utilization. It provides a platform for enhanced local food economies and provides support for small scale farmers. Now let's dive a bit deeper. I said let's reimagine agriculture through four key principles. The first one is crop residue as resources. I was talking to my staffs on the farm yesterday, and I told them, I said, we need to get to a point where we can build a local pyrolysis technology. And why do we need to do that? So that every time we clear the grass, every time we cut the environment, every time we weed, we don't need to keep these things, to consume space and then waste away. But rather we can convert these things to organic compost. One of the ways we can do that is by, designing a pyrolysis machine that can help us efficiently, heat these things up and burn them to a point where we can use them as wood ash, and that forms our substrates. For those of us that are into soilless farming, it forms part of our substrate culture and helps to enrich the soil, because from those wood ash, you get all the micronutrients you talk about, zinc, and all the likes. We said we want to reduce crop residues. We want to convert them to resources. And what that means for us is we transform them into livestock feed, we transform them into organic compost, we transform them into bioenergy, therefore reducing waste and enhancing our resource efficiency. The second one is renewable energy. Within the agricultural space, it's important, that there is an integration of either solar, wind, or biogas. And all these things you can get. Take for instance biogas. You can create biogas, from animal waste. For those of us that are into high purpose livestock, you can generate biogas from animal waste, thereby reducing the carbon footprint of agricultural activities and enhancing long-term sustainability. Now, the third one is repurposing livestock waste, which is what I've just shared. To minimize the impact in the environment, we convert livestock waste to biogas, use that biogas as a form of renewable energy, thereby reducing carbon footprint. The last one is intergenerational knowledge. Now, this is key, and this is where I sit, as an agricultural advocate. The reason why there is a massive transition in this space is because when Mr. A was busy as a farmer, he trained his children in other, areas of life, which there is nothing wrong with that. Forgetting the fact that tomorrow we need somebody to continue in that process, that he has built. And over time, you discover that there's a knowledge gap. A lot of things that our forefathers used to do within the agricultural space right now, a lot of those knowledges have been lost. We are now going back to see how we can retrieve them. Why is this conversation important for us as youths? Now, youths as technology adopters, youths are entrepreneurs, youths are innovators, youths are sustainable champions. Again, the reason why we have this gap is because when Mr. A was busy in this space, there were no youths adopting technology to improve efficiency in this space. There were no youths going into the agricultural space to continue what their predecessors have done within the space, because they don't see agriculture as being sexy, they don't see it as being pleasing, they don't see it as being professional. In fact, I remember having a conversation with my wife some few weeks back, and I asked her, if I'd approached you 13 years ago when we got married, and I told you I am a farmer or agriculturist or horticulturist or whatever I present myself to be, would you have married me? And she said to me, we won't even have a conversation. Why would I want to marry a farmer? Of everything that anybody can be, is a farmer that will have to approach me to marry me. And then we laughed about it. And I asked her, how about now? And she smiled. She said, I'm also in the agri space, so I understand what you're saying. So these are the things. Young Africans are the forefront of integrated cutting edge technologies into agriculture. We need to create that environment for them because they are early adapters. They are change makers, and they are just merely recipients of the benefits of the secular economy. Everybody wants to look for a white collar job. Everybody wants to sit down in a big office, where the AC is blowing. When you're in the field, there's no AC. You're in the field under the sun, you're in the field, in the rain, just to ensure that, you can cultivate and provide food for the masses. Why youths? Youth are center to innovation. Young innovators bridge gaps within food systems. They have the potential to create mobile apps that can help us to increase our efficiency in production. Talk about logistics platform that will help us to manage the movement of goods from point A to point B. Talk about e-commerce, being able to sit down at home and then order your tomatoes, order your pepper, and order your sweet corn or your okra, and then before you know it, you have them delivered at your doorstep. These are the advantages that young entrepreneurs bring, to this space. We talk about the entrepreneurial energy. Youth convert agricultural challenges into viable business opportunities, giving them the opportunity to create new revenue systems and jobs. And this is the assignment that we have. We need to build systems, we need to build capacity, we need to build youths. Youths ensure intergenerational sustainability by learning, adapting, passing on environmentally conscious practices. An example of this is what we do in Fuente Farm, where we have the Learn, Work, and Earn initiative and also the Sustain Age. The essence of this was when we got into this space, we discovered that there were no youths. Nobody wants to work. Nobody wants to be in the agricultural space. At some point, we had a lot of people that came to the farm and left the farm to go and, look for something else. I learned a couple of them ended up joining, the Yahoo group and all that, not understanding that there is a lot that we can do in this agricultural space. And that is why we came up with the program where we can teach, we can groom, we can mentor, we can pass knowledge to ensure that we bridge that knowledge gap. And what have we done so far? In Fuente Farm, we have trained over 350 youths and women. We have created an environment for them to thrive. We've provided tools and resources, for them to cultivate, for them to practice, for them to grow their knowledge, for them to grow their skills, and for them to become champions and intellectuals in this space. What we've done is we introduced sustainable agriculture, using soilless and hydroponics and controlled environment agriculture to produce high quality crops. Now, what this approach has done for us is it has significantly reduced wastage, reduces water consumption, and also reduce land degradation, while at the same time promoting crop diversification and resilience. Another thing we do is our livestock farming. We provide comprehensive training programs in poultry, snailry, ruminant, and rabbit farming. We promote sustainable and efficient livestock production by integrating regenerative agricultural principles. High quality animal protein is produced while enhancing ecosystem services, and biodiversity. In fact, one of the latest things that we've done, which we launched early in the week, is our Eco Fuente, which is actually an organic, insecticide and pesticide produced from our rabbit urine and with a mixture of, natural herbs and spices, to ensure that, it helps us to reduce the usage of agrochemicals and insecticides in our plantation. These are the kind of innovations that we are talking about, and these systems are driven by youth. Another thing we've done is youth empowerment. The Learn Work and initiative, has provided training and mentorship to youths and members, youth core members, young Nigerian graduates and non-graduates. And what we've done is we've equipped them with essential agricultural skills, you know, practical agricultural knowledge, entrepreneurship, and business management. What is the impact? So far, we have successfully provided nutritious and healthy foods to a lot of households, you know, and we continue to train and even retrain our team on the farm to ensure that every day we are equipped to deal with, the challenges that comes with the weather, the challenges that comes with the water, the challenges that comes with, the platform, the challenges that comes within the agricultural space. We've gone ahead to further retain a couple of youths and women to ensure that they are the driving force of our vision and our mission. On a final note, it's important that we leverage on technology. It's important that we create an environment that is appealing to the current generation, because we know that this generation is driven by technology. This generation is driven by a quick fix approach, get rich quick, make it quick. But like we always tell people, agriculture is not a place where you want to sit and make it quick. It's a place where you want to sit and build a process and system that can withstand the test of time. Whatever the storm throws at you, whatever the challenge throws at you, whatever the economy throws at you, provided you have a system and you have a process in place, you will not be shaking within the agricultural space. And these are the things that we are telling youths. Let's all stand strong. You know, let's pull our resources together. Let's pull our heads together. It's not something that one individual can do. I'm happy with what Dr. Gabi is doing. In fact, what Dr. Gabi is doing in South Africa, I think, is missing in this part of the world. We need to go back, to the schools. We need to sell agriculture again differently. We need to keep changing the narrative. We need to let them know that, why they are coming to school for their career days, they are coming in as doctors, as lawyers, as accountants. They can also come in as farmers. That if farmers also look good, farmers also eat well, farmers dress well, farmers earn well. We need to change this narrative. We need to sell this narrative to the grassroots so that such gaps, will not occur in the nearest future. One of the conversations I keep hearing again and again and again is people call me up and tell me, "Hey, Christian, I have so funds and I'm looking at retiring into the agricultural space." Now, those people that are looking to retiring into the agricultural space, as far as they are concerned, they believe that agric is where they need to end their retirement. But agric is not a place for retiree. Agric is a place for somebody who is strong, somebody who is vibrant, somebody who has the energy and the willpower to drive food productivity. And I believe that in no time, as Africans, as Nigerians, and as youths, our voices will be heard globally. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Christian. That was a very excellent presentation talking about um, how youth can employ innovations to advancing agriculture in Africa and in the world at large. Thank you very much. Um,
Thank you very much.
yeah. So if you have any question for Christian, please kindly drop in the comment section so that he can answer it in a few minutes. And meanwhile, I also want to bring up the convener too as well.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kristen, for sharing that with us. One of the things that we are very keen about as regards agriculture at the African Integrative Agriculture Network is circular economy. And thank you so much for sharing so much light on it, because I believe that there's so much more we could do as regards circular economy. Currently, most of the practices right now is just the linear production, where it's just like use, produce, and
Waste.
dispose, as
Yeah.
against circling. So thank you so much for sharing that light. Thank you everyone for being here. I trust that you're having an awesome time with us today. Soon we're going to have our final speaker, which is Sheila Moore. And after that session, we're definitely going to have our panelists come up and then, throw more lights on the various areas that they're experts on. But before we do that, I would just like to sort of talk about my own part, which is around the areas of like mindset. I see that there's so many young people, within agriculture, and just doing this work and just as we prepped for this conference, I definitely saw some distinctive traits between the young people, particularly from northern Nigeria and southern Nigeria. There were so many different traits, just engaging with the students, because we have about over 35 institutions across Nigeria that signed up for this. And just engaging with a lot of the students from the northern part of the country, institutions like Futsmina, Kaduna State University, Bayer University, Ahmadu Bello University's area, one of the things that I sort of observed with them was that most of them from the north, you could hear them talk about having acres of land. They're already into rice farming. Some of them, they're already into poultry businesses while a student. And most of them, they're already into animal husbandry while a student. And so when I was just engaging with them in the community, you hear someone say, oh, they're in their 200 level, but they have 300 acres of land. They have, sorry, 3 acres of land of rice farm in Benue. And I'm just intrigued. And the culture here in the South is different. It seems as though when you interact with a person studying agriculture, let's say from Unical or Uniport or even Unilag or LASU or Uniben, because we also have those people on the group as well. And it's as though they look at agriculture from a standpoint of, I didn't really apply for this, but I was given, and so I don't have any choice. I just have to do it. But compared to the young Nigerians in the north, they see it as an opportunity to serve their community. They see it as an opportunity to make something out of themselves. They see it as an opportunity to take responsibility. And that's, for me, I feel like that's like a mindset shift. I wish more Nigerians, young people within the South, could also view it that way, that is not like a punishment sentence, that you could definitely be much more productive doing agriculture. And just hearing what Mr. Christian was saying, I like the part when he talked about, when he asked his wife out and said, oh, he's an agriculturist. And, she wasn't quite intrigued by it. And he then said, okay, look at me now, years later. Agriculture is one profession that you need to have a lot of patience capital, and with that you would definitely see it yield over time. You definitely see it yield over time. You definitely see it yield over time. I remember the very first time I interviewed Mr. Jahel, Mr. Jahel Olivia, the CEO of Hello Tractor, and I asked him this question that I usually ask my guests as they wrap up their sessions. And I said to him, for anybody sitting on the fence right now, still contemplating whether or not they should be in agriculture, what do you have to say to them? And he laughed during the session and he said, let them not come so I can make all the money to myself. And he said to me, agriculture is not something you have to push people to come into, but it's something that if they are willing to work, that it will work out and they will definitely reap the fruit of their labor. He was talking about when they started out, I think in the very first year, they exceeded what they had anticipated in terms of like their service and their product that they provide, right? And in most cases, it's that way. In most cases, it's not. But over time, just like every process, you would need to do a couple of iterations to then see differences, to then see changes, right? The same thing applies to agriculture. You might start out, you make a couple of mistakes here and there, but as long as you're willing to, iterate, as long as you're willing to figure out what's not working and then figure out what has to work and then apply yourself, you definitely get, results. And part of the reasons why I brought my panelists today and even my speakers is that you definitely see that they are really young people. For instance, Oluwaseun, a very young lady in Lagos, Nigeria, doing an amazing, amazing stuff. And it will interest you to know that Oluwaseun is an architect that has now, she's still practicing architecture. However, she's deep delving into nutrition part of agriculture. And you'll be hearing much more from her during the panel session. Mr. Elvis, the same. He's doing amazing stuff with animal production, animal feed production in Delta State, Nigeria. Mr. Joseph, he's doing phenomenally well in the northern part of Nigeria with AgroLinking, where they are using data as a service to help businesses, right? And even Mr. Ojefo, he's also a very young person within the Nigerian agricultural export space. He has been there close to a decade, doing phenomenally well. And these are just like pointers and examples to you, young person listening to me today. There's so much within the agricultural space. It doesn't have to just be tilling the land, like tilling the land and rearing animals. There's technology, just like Professor Gabi highlighted. There's nutrition that Alua Sharon is doing. There's exportation that you hear much more from Mr. Emmanuel. There's data as service that you hear much more from Mr. Joseph. There's so much more that you can do. I remember interviewing someone from Kenya, and she was talking about how they are using Internet of Things, which is IoT, in terms of like preservations of their produce. I think I can't. Wendy, she's into potato, like the end-to-end productions around the value chain within potato. That's what they do. And she was talking about how they use IoT for their products. And that's beautiful. Even when I spoke with Mr. Jahel, it talks about even the auto steering, how you're able to use your phone to like check up on the tractors on the field, know how many miles they've worked, just those kinds of things. There are so many potentials within it, so many, so that are yet to be explored. And so for you, young person, even if you're studying fishery, you're studying forestry and wildlife conservation, you're studying agricultural economics, which is what I studied in university, or extension services. Extension services can now be probably moved towards agricultural communications because typically it's just about helping the rural farmers get access to relevant research and information, and also getting feedback from them and taking those feedback to the researchers to then see how they can create multiple solutions. So you don't necessarily have to be in the field. So the mindset is, what solution can I provide? What skill sets do I have that I can leverage on to then create solutions? What can I do efficiently well that I can leverage on to then create solutions? And I hope that this summit gives you a starting point to start to think, your skill set, even as you're learning the course. I think this is one thing that most people studying agriculture, they do. They gave me the course, so I just have to do it and I just have to do it. Do it and do it well. Do it and do it well. At least you hear from Dr. Gabi today that we should have lawyers that are, having conversations about trade. Those are important conversations. Those are very important conversations. We should have lawyers, we should have journalists that are able to tell agricultural story, which is what one of the things that I typically do with the platform, telling stories. Because I've seen that a lot of people are doing so many amazing things, but most part of the world is not even aware of these amazing things that they are doing, and not because they don't want the world to be aware, but they are not telling the stories. And it's quite understandable because sometimes they are the actors, they are the
Technologist and business
executors.
developer
However,
committed to
there's also a need for them to be able to tell their story so that someone is inspired, someone is encouraged, and someone is seeing the need to want to create change in those spaces. So, guys, I hope that this inspires you to think more deeply about it and think more deeply about the solutions that you want to provide for our nation. This is one thing that I believe the government can do so much and so little at the same time. However, if we begin to think about it as our collective responsibility, there's something that you can contribute. There's something that you can do, even from where you are. You know, a wise man once said, use what you have because what you have is enough for where you are. Just start out with what you have. There's always something in your hand that you can definitely start out using and then multiply it. There's something that you have that you can do. If we as individuals think about how we are going to make our nation great as one person, everybody having that in mind, I'm going to create one service, I'm going to create one product, I'm going to improve one service, I'm going to improve one product. Collectively, over time, we'll begin to see those changes that we want to see in our lives, in our community, and in our nation collectively. But it's not, this work is not for a selective few. Every single person has to take up responsibility. You know, they say teamwork makes the dream work. It's a collective responsibility. It's ownership mentality. You know, there's a quote I saw from I think it's Afrik Digest. It was by Dangote. He says that it is Africans that will solve the problem of Africa. And with that, I am bold to say that it is Nigerians that will solve the problem of Nigeria. Nigeria is not a map that you see in your history textbook or your social studies textbook. You and I will make up Nigeria. And you and I are the ones that will make this country great. The presidency, our senators, they can do the bit that they can do. But I believe that as individuals, if we take collective responsibility, there's so much we can do for our nation. And even the sector that we're playing in right now, I want to believe that most people on this call are within the agricultural sector. And so for that young person studying agriculture, 200 level, University of Ibadan, or Abafemi Awolowo University, or Unical, or even LASU, thinking that when I finish this, they're going to go to the bank and become a customer service teller person. You don't have to do that. There's so much that you can do within the sector. You don't have to do that. And that's part of the reasons why we're having this conversation today. And that's part of the reasons why the book was created to just help you see so much possibilities that you can accomplish within the sector and then leverage on your strengths that you already have, leverage on the expertise that you already have, and then build from there. Build from there. So thank you. I think at this point, we're going to bring up our final speaker before we definitely have our keynote sessions.
from the Federal University of Agriculture, Makurdi. She combines a deep technical knowledge with strategic leadership. As the founder and CEO of Fresh Fair HQ, Sheila leads an agri-tech startup tackling food waste and post-harvest losses through innovation. She also serves as National Sales Manager at Noviagro Limited, a European agro-allied firm revolutionizing livestock agriculture. Currently pursuing an MBA in Global Supply Chain Management, Sheila brings a wealth of expertise in business development, project management, and social impact. She is a UN SDG advocate, an AU climate innovator, and a sought-after keynote speaker.
Okay, so with a clap, we're going to make welcome our next speaker, Sheila, to the platform. By the way, how many of us has been gaining value so far? From the introductions of the speakers, you can see that they are not just somebody that was randomly picked or selected, but they are people who actually practice what they teach, and they teach what they practice, and they have the results to show for it. So again, we want to appreciate our speaker. Thank you, Sheila, for agreeing to doing this with us and for joining us today. The stage is yours. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I really, really appreciate the AIAN network. I am happy to be on this platform again. I was here before when Peace reached out to me, and from that very first time that I had a conversation with her, I knew that Peace is one of the people that African agriculture needs. Because when we're trying to revolutionize African agriculture, then we definitely need visionaries like Peace and Isosa and Sheila and David and every other person on this call this evening. So once again, good evening, everyone. I'm sorry I may not be able to put on my video right away, but hopefully through the conversation, I might be able to do that. So this is me greeting everyone and hoping that what I share today might encourage one, two, three, or everyone actually on the call this evening. Thank you very much, Peace, for making this summit come alive. And thank you to every student and every participant, wherever you are across the world. And I hope that this summit brings value to you and gives you a paradigm shift to understand that agriculture truly is more than farming. Thank you so much, Peace, to that book as well. I am definitely going to place an order right up to this summit. Anyway, so without further ado, I am a very practical person and I love stories. So most of what I'm going to be telling you today is going to be facts and it's going to be stories that you can all relate to. So Peace has told me that I have to speak about the role of youth in advancing food systems. I know that I'm rephrasing, but yeah, the role of young people in revolutionizing food systems in Africa. So I'm going to start this way. Now, Africa is blessed with some of the most fertile lands on earth. We have diverse climates and we can grow almost any crop. And of course, we are full of potential. The population of Africa is so young. Now, bring me back to Nigeria. About 60% of Nigeria's population, I'm using this Nigeria as a yardstick to describe Africa now. About 60% of Africa's population, Nigerian population, is under 25 years old. And this is not just statistics. It is a powerful reminder that the future of our continent rests in our hands. This responsibility has been given to us, the young people. So I ask us all this question: with all the land and all the potential and all the young people that we have in Nigeria and in Africa, how can we, this generation, become the architects of Africa's food future? Now, let me paint us a picture. Every year, Africa depends more, Africa depends so much on imported food. So we spend more than 40 billion US dollars importing food that we can actually produce by ourselves in Nigeria, in Ghana, in Kenya, in Rwanda, and the list is endless. Fruits and vegetables, they rot away in farms and in markets because of poor storage, weak logistics, and fragmented value chains. This is actually in an area, an intersection where I work. The work that we do at Fresh Fair lies around this area of fragmented supply chains and weak logistics and poor storage infrastructure. So nearly 40% of perishables, they never make it to consumers. At the same time, climate change is shaking the very foundation of farming. Rains are less predictable. I mean, it's happening all the time. We can no longer predict rain. I remember when I was younger, my dad could literally just look up in the sky and predict that, okay, it's going to rain. It's going to rain this so and so months. I mean, this ways were more consistent before, but now rains are so unpredictable. Droughts and floods are more frequent. We see this every time flooding. Now let's add this to the reality of youth unemployment. Millions of young people are searching for meaningful opportunities. And the picture becomes clearer because our current food system is broken, but it is also full of opportunity. This is what I always tell people. Even though the system is broken, we see the joy in chaos. We see that there is opportunity even in the madness. And at the urgency of all of this is real. It is so urgent. It's very important that we save the future of food today. Now, by the year 2050, as is being projected, Africa's population would nearly double by 2.5 billion people. That is a lot. And now, what does this call for? This means that the demand of food is going to skyrocket. If we do nothing, the continent would depend even more on food imports. But if we act boldly, we can not only feed ourselves, but also feed the world. So now, why is this a youth agenda? I mean, there is power in agriculture, but today we're talking about the power of the young people, the power of youth in agriculture. Now, because we are not just leaders of tomorrow, I don't like to say that anymore. The young person is now the leader of today. So what that means is that everybody on this call today, from the convener to the speakers to the listeners, we are all the leaders of today. The young people, I like to call us digital natives because we understand mobile phones, we understand digital apps, we understand drones and AI. Now, these are no longer futuristic tools. No, it's no longer something in the future anymore. These are tools that can transform agriculture right now, not tomorrow, not in the future. The future is now. The future is here. The problems are real and we're feeling them every day. I don't want to talk about the prices of food skyrocketing. I don't want to say, I don't want to go into all of that because that talk actually makes me feel emotional and fired up at the same time. So I'm just going to stick to what I have prepared for you. I know that these tools I just mentioned can transform agriculture today. They can transform agriculture right now. I think of young innovators across Africa, and I use myself and the Fresh Fair team in Nigeria as an example. Fresh Fair is a youth-led startup that is building cold chain systems that reduce food spoilage and post-harvest losses in Nigeria. In Kenya, young entrepreneurs are creating e-commerce platforms that connect farmers directly to consumers. In Rwanda, young people are using drones, crop mapping, spraying, and monitoring. They're using all of this technology to advance and improve agriculture. These processes are actually interesting, and every young person, so far as you have a mind for the people and you have a mind for advancing food systems in Africa, then these are things that you can pick, learn, grow, and start to transform your life and the life of the people around you. Now, these examples tell us something powerful. It tells us that agriculture is no longer just about hoes and cutlasses. It's about data. It's about logistics. It's about branding. And above all, it's about entrepreneurship. I actually prepared a PowerPoint, which I no longer need right now because I actually feel better speaking freely. But I'm going to leave that PowerPoint with Peace, and maybe she can share it with the community. Maybe some of you may find that useful. But in that PowerPoint, I actually highlighted pillars of building sustainable food systems. I'm just going to run through them actually. So the first thing, the very first thing that a young person is going to need in this space that we work in is a paradigm shift. That is a mindset shift. Farming is an opportunity. It is not poverty. I mean, this is a paradigm that we have been struggling to shift for the longest time. An average African and an average Nigerian thinks that farming is some sort of last resort, it's some kind of poverty game. But no, farming is the gold. It is the green gold. Permit me to say that. Farming is the green gold. It's opportunity and it's not poverty. First, we must change the way we see agriculture. For too long, farming has been seen as a sign of poverty, something our parents did because they had no choice. But today, agriculture is big business. The value is not only in growing crops, it is in the processing, it is in the logistics, the packaging, the exports, the branding. For example, I have a friend, and I'll also call him a mentor, Mr. Taiwo Laonipekun. I don't know if he's on the call, but maybe he's here somehow. But for example, this is what Mr. Taiwo is doing with Farm Fixers. Now, Gary or cassava is not just Gary, you understand? What Mr. Taiwo is doing at his factory is beyond just transforming cassava into Gary. They go even more than that. They're doing flour and then they're packaging and they're exporting to other countries in the world. That is fantastic. That is amazing. So that's something that young Africans are doing. Think about shea butter. Shea butter is not just for the village markets anymore. It is now lotion, it is soap, it's cosmetics and global beauty products. So you can see how from the farm we go into so many things as agriculture permits. I mean, for agriculture, the opportunities are limitless. Now, across Africa, young people are already building brands. There are processing units and export ready businesses that have been built by young people. And this is where the opportunity lies. Don't just consume food, produce it, preserve it, and profit from it. This is very, very important. I mean, it's not rocket science because for too long we've practiced agriculture as some kind of subsistence, just plant something in my backyard and eat when I'm hungry. But now it's about time that African youth rise up to the challenge to actually feed the growing population. So you're not going to have to plant only for your household anymore. You're going to have to make farming or make agriculture some kind of income source as entrepreneurship. Right. So the next point that I was going to talk about was leveraging technology and innovation. This is another pillar, the second pillar that I talked about. With the right tools, we can leapfrog decades of agricultural inefficiency. Now, imagine a farmer checking weather forecasts on his or her phone before planting. Just imagine it. Imagine drones flying over maize fields to check plant health. Imagine apps that connect farmers to buyers instantly and eliminating middlemen, these middlemen that drain the profits of farmers, you know? So these are actually areas that actually make agriculture interesting. The scope is broad. Not everybody is going to take a hoe and be on the farm. Some people are going to be doing other things, like the things that I have been mentioning in the course of my conversation earlier. Now, the third pillar is building sustainable and climate smart agriculture. Now, we must champion practices that protect both the planet and our people. Now, climate smart agriculture cannot be overemphasized. There's been a lot of talk about climate change and climate change. I won't delve into that because that's a whole different topic. But of course, agriculture sits at that very intersection with climate change as well. So what I was trying to say is that we have to champion practices that protect the planet and protect the people. Now, practices like agroforestry that combines trees with crops. So at this point now, you're not just, planting crops that you're going to harvest. You're going to combine it with trees as well. We all know the importance or the role that trees play in climate change and agriculture. Now, the use of organic fertilizers that restore the soil health. and so on and so forth. There's just so many things that we can actually do as young people to contribute to building a sustainable food system, African food system, I'd say. Now, what about the action steps? What must we do? What we as young Africans need to start doing today? From the very beginning, I also want to go back again to thanking Peace and people like her who have built platforms that educate and upskill people. So now we have to learn not just farming, but agribusiness. We have to learn finance. We have to learn technology. We have to understand that knowledge is power. We must start small. We must scale fast. We have to begin with what we have. Like whatever little thing that you have, start from where you are at. I know I'm speaking passionately because this is a topic that really, really resonates to me and our growing young people population. Start with the little thing that you have. You don't need to wait for all the money. Start small, a small garden, a small processing unit. If you can build a mobile app, do it. Don't wait for millions in funding. Start, then you can scale. Then you have to network. Join agripreneur associations, innovation hubs, cooperatives. Opportunities come through connections. You have to tell stories. Agriculture has an image problem in Africa. So we have to actually solve that as well. So when I heard Dr. Gabi talk about agrophotography, that made so much sense to me. Use social media to tell stories, success stories, to make agriculture cool again. We have to regain that coolness. Agriculture is actually cool. And then we have to think global. Think global. We can continue to act local, yes, but we have to think global. Build products that meet local needs, but also compete globally. Imagine proudly exporting African branded food products to the world. That is amazing. Now, this is me trying to share another picture again with us. Let us dream together for a moment. Imagine, imagine an Africa where every supermarket shelf is filled with African grown, African processed food. Imagine a world where our cocoa no longer lives as beans, but returns as premium African chocolate brands. Imagine our smallholder farmers no longer losing 40% of their harvests, but storing them in solar-powered cold rooms, connected to digital markets by African youth. Imagine agriculture not just as a struggle, but as a career of dignity, wealth, and impact. This is not a fantasy. It is possible. And it is possible in this lifetime, in our lifetime, if we rise to the challenge. So let me leave you with this thought. The food that you eat today, the food that we eat today, is because a farmer woke up yesterday. Now, the future of Africa's food system will not be decided by New York or Beijing or Japan or South Korea. It will be decided right here by us, the African youth, by me, the Nigerian youth, by you, by each and every one of us on this call. So I challenge us today, me inclusive, what role will we play in shaping the food Africa eats tomorrow? What role? So together, let us plant seeds of innovation, water them with collaboration, and harvest a food system that is sustainable, inclusive, and proudly African. Thank you very much.
Wow. Please, a round of applause for very insightful. And I myself have just been here at the back end, shaking my head, writing down stuff. And I know that definitely I need to go back and listen to all of this again. And not just have the previous speakers, they've shared really insightful things that are practical and emphasis on practical because it's easy to just go on events, get theories, and go back and continue your normal life. But AIAN has brought together this summit to ensure that we learn the strategies and get informed on the opportunities available in Africa across the African continent. And so this has been very wonderful. And you said a lot of stuff that stood out for me. One of them was, we as young people, we are not just the leaders of tomorrow, but we are the leaders of today. And when you said think global, that was just it for me, right? And want to say thank you so much again for coming on board to sharing all of these wonderful insights. And I believe that we all got value from this session. I can see the comments and everybody are just like, wow. So please, what do we say to all the speakers, Sheila and the other speakers? Please just drop a thank you very much in the comments, even as we proceed to having the panelist session. So please appreciate them. I want to see your clapping emojis and I want to see your thank you in the comments. This has been so insightful. Thank you very much. Thank you. And so up next, I'm going to be introducing the panelists one after the other. And then we'll bring them up to stage.
Mentor and champion for value-added exports. With over a decade in 1,000 aspiring exporters and helped over 200 secure global trade deals. Growing up in Niger State with Edo State roots, his entrepreneurial spark ignited early while trading for his mother, a passion he later balanced with his studies at Nasarawa State Polytechnic. In 2018, Emmanuel launched Sidago Global Limited after gaining hands-on industry experience, and today the company champions African agricultural products on both sides of the Atlantic, with operations in Canada and Nigeria. He also leads YEX Africa, a platform dedicated to nurturing the next gen of GIMMA and partners, fostering strategic partnerships in the export sector. Beyond business, as a preacher and advocate for value-added exports, Emmanuel inspires African entrepreneurs to refine their agricultural products for enhanced global competitiveness and sustainable wealth for the continent. Strategic hands-on expertise to address key challenges in the industry. As the Chief of Operations and Strategy Officer at Anosekebwe, Elvis has been instrumental in driving the company's growth. Since joining, he has strategically positioned OAVL for expansion, optimized operations, restructured the organization for greater efficiency, and significantly enhanced brand perception. These efforts have strengthened OAVL's standing as a leader in Nigeria's agricultural sector. Elvis's professional achievements are complemented by certifications from prestigious institutions, including Lagos Business School, China Europe International School, PwC, etc. These programs reflect his dedication to personal development and his pursuit of excellence in strategic planning and business model innovation. A strong advocate for farmer empowerment, Elvis leads initiatives such as the OAVL Community, which champions the FHA series, Farm Health Awareness, Resources, and Market Opportunities. His efforts ensure that farmers can adopt sustainable practices and thrive in their operations. Elvis holds a first-class degree in food science and technology from Bowen University. This strong academic foundation, combined with his practical experience, positions him as a transformative leader in the agricultural sector. Through his work at OAVL, he continues to advance the vision of a food-secure Africa. Turned agro-entrepreneur passionate about reshaping Africa's food systems through sustainable agriculture. With a background in architecture, graduating with first-class honors in her bachelor's and excelling in her master's, she applies her design expertise to create innovative, efficient, and sustainable farming solutions. Her current path in agriculture was driven by a personal health journey that sparked a deep commitment to accessible, nutritious food. She now works to bridge the gap between traditional farming and modern agricultural innovations, empowering farmers with practical solutions that enhance productivity and food security. For youth empowerment. As a lead volunteer with Club 200, she has impacted over 1,000 young people through education and employment initiatives, equipping them with the skills and opportunities to build a better future. Her work reflects a deep commitment to sustainability, social impact, and the transformation of Africa's agricultural landscape. His work spans across mobilizing 1,500 plus agricultural enterprises and generating significant revenue growth for startups, including $15,000 in bi-weekly earnings for a northern Nigerian agri-venture. Currently serving as entrepreneur in residence and leading the Agric Studio at Fast Forward Venture Studio, Joseph is focused on building scalable agtech solutions to unlock Africa's agricultural prosperity. He has consulted on high-impact projects funded by AFDB, the EU, MasterCard Foundation, and IFAD, and worked alongside institutions like the Africa Projects Development Center and the Enterprise Development Center. An IFAD scholar at the European Institute of Innovation for Sustainability and an alumnus of the Lagos Business School Junior Achievement VIMP, Joseph blends technical know-how with strategic foresight, grounded in a solid agricultural background.
Having the panelist session now, so I'm going to be bringing up the panelists. Good to see you. Good evening, Oluwaseun again. Good evening. Okay, so I'm bringing you one after the other. Okay, please kindly confirm that you can hear me loud and clear. I think we're all live on stage.
Yeah,
Yeah, I can.
Yes, we
yeah,
can hear you.
Okay,
yes, I can
awesome.
hear you.
Please, can you turn on your camera? I feel really shy that I'm the only one whose face they're seeing right now. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So all of your profiles is making me feel really intimidated right now. I'm like, oh my God, it's such a privilege to be here. And well done on the awesome jobs that you're doing in your field and your industry. So we have questions for you that we believe would inspire those of us that are watching, and I believe it will speak to some of the questions that the participants already have in their hearts about agriculture. And I know, it's not believe, I know that you will do justice to these questions. So I think I'm going to start with Emmanuel. Emmanuel, kindly confirm if you can hear me loud and clear.
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear. Good evening.
Okay, awesome. So the first question which goes to you says, what mindset shift do African youth need if they want to move from local farming to competing on global agricultural markets?
Okay. Thank you very much for the question, and thank you for the platform, Sagui. Thank you very much. I don't take it for granted. Thank you.
Please, if you
Uh,
can, for interrupting, I would really recommend that you turn on your cameras so that the guests, the participants can see your faces, your handsome and beautiful faces, so that we can confirm that these are really young people talking to us young people. You know, thank you very much.
you're welcome. All right. For the question you asked, I think I will start with saying that we need to kind of like start from grassroots, right? Grassroots is important, and we also need to understand the foundation that has been laid for us as Africans and also as Nigerians. Because if you look carefully at the agro commodity export business space, there are many people that have built, which more like the fathers that have built the foundation before we came, right? the likes of in Nigeria, because it's more like an African program. So I will cite an example with Nigeria. We look at the likes of Chief Obafemi Awolowo, Chief Akintola, that pioneered the cocoa business, the likes of Dan Tata, the likes of the Sultan and all that pioneered the granite pyramid, that sent a statement out to the world for them to understand that Nigeria has a product and Africa has a product, right? And that is, first of all, a mind shift, that the foundation has been built. So what we are doing, basically, myself and every other person in the agricultural sector, is we are laying a foundation that is already built, and we are laying blocks on each of these foundation, right? So first of all, you need to understand the foundation has been built. Secondly, you need to see agriculture as a business, right? Many of us see it as cutlass and whole activity. Is more than that, right? Is a whole body of work entirely. Just the way you have organizations having structures like marketing department, you have department like HR. Agriculture has come to that level where we have to see it as an organization, as a business. So it's no longer the old man thing. It's no longer the woman in the village thing. Is a complete business, right? And secondly, we have to see the second mind shift is we have to see agriculture as a necessity for survival, right? There is this old saying that says, "Food, water is life." I still believe food also is a survival kit. And if you're a farmer and you go into the business of agriculture, you're a farmer, you plant or whatever you do in the agricultural space, you are actually providing surviving kit to the people. So you are not just a farmer, you are not just coming into the business, or you are not just doing agriculture for agriculture's sake. You are kind of like creating an impact. So to every young person listening, you must have that mindset. The foundation has been built already. We are just laying blocks. And for us that are laying blocks, we still also need to understand that there's the generation coming ahead of us. This generation are supposed to meet commodity business, agriculture so seamless that they can just trade without any stress. So we have that responsibility to ensure that it becomes very seamless before the next generation will come, right? So that's what I think.
Okay, thank you so very much. I would not want to reiterate what you already said, and that was very practical and as clear as it can be. Thank you very much, sir. The next question goes to Oluwaseun, and it says, "How can African youth turn local food and nutrition challenges into profitable agro entrepreneurship ventures?" Sorry, let me take that again. How can African youth turn local food and nutrition challenges into profitable agro entrepreneurship ventures? Sorry.
Okay, thank you very much, Isosa. That sounds like a mouthful. Before I start, let me congratulate Peace, as I fondly call her. I think it's Peace, yes, for this amazing conference that is being held, and the entire team. Well done. And also on the wonderful book that she's launching. This is a great stepping stone for youth in Africa, and it's right about time. It's very timely. So to answer your question, how can youth develop profit out of food and nutrition products? Is that what you asked? Can you? I know it's quite a mouthful. Can you say it again, please?
Yeah, that's it basically. But just to say it again, how can African youth turn local food and nutrition challenges into profitable agro entrepreneurship ventures?
Okay, great. Thank you very much. So we want to know how we can make profits out of agriculture, especially what I'm doing in food and nutrition or wellness in the wellness sector. I would say that by combining, the simple answer is by combining creativity and innovation together. And I'll give an example of someone who sells, let's say, pap. For many that might not know, pap in Nigeria is grounded maize that is turned into a cereal like food that adults or babies eat. It's a local food. If you're selling pap in its normal form, that's just grounded maize, whether it is brown maize or any form of maize, on it by itself is not profitable. By itself, it can be profitable. But if I was to include creativity and innovation. So let's say I begin to make a chocolate flavor of the existing pap. I begin to package the pap into powder form. I tell stories of how, moms in the village, will give pap to their children, their toddlers, and fatten them up. Then I begin to create profit out of my product. So one of the ways to which we can make profit, especially in the wellness sector, I'll say is by using creativity, combining creativity together with innovation. So we must begin to tell our stories in a much better way. We must also be creative about them, and we must include innovation. Innovation is simply improving on an existing problem. So improving on it if for the time that we are in. So in this present time that we're in, how can people better use the case study of the and how can it be exciting? How can we tell better stories with them? That's how we can actually make profits out of the wellness sector in agriculture. If not, if you were to remain with the pap, if anyone's a Nigerian, the regular pap in the market is sold in a nylon, right? Right? And those things are sold for say maybe 200 naira or less. But
Yeah.
after make something nice about it, probably make it chocolate flavor, strawberry flavor, put it in a nice packaging. It even becomes export worthy. Include some iron, iron enriched nutrients into it. It becomes exportable. You begin to sell what the local market woman or any other random person would have sold for 200 naira, for 2005, for 3005, and you begin to be profitable. So in this sector, you must be creative and you must be innovative. When you combine those two things together, profitability is very sure. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You've said it, combining creativity with innovation, and that's how you make lots of profits from this. I'm just going to go over to the next question, and that will going to be going to Evis. The next question is: many young people see agriculture as outdated. How can strategy and innovation shape the perception and make agriculture more attractive?
Hi, good evening, everyone. Um,
Okay.
First off, I want to say thank you very much to the host. Masarigwe, thank you very much, Ma. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. And a massive congratulations to you. I'm really proud of the growth and where you're going to with AIAN. So straight to the point here. How can youth, be more interested? How can they? Sorry, can you just read the question again? Maybe.
Okay, so many young people see agriculture as outdated. So how can strategy and innovation reshape this perception and make agriculture more attractive? So in simpler words, how can we change the way people see agriculture as something that's old school and for old people to something that young people want to get into because they know that this thing is actually a good mind in disguise. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so first off, in terms of making agriculture more attractive or to make it look better, for youths, I think the first thing still remains that we should understand why we're doing agriculture in the first place. All
Mm.
right. The main reason I ventured into agriculture, let me use myself as an example, is because I know that people will always eat, no matter what happens. No matter how technology wants to advance things or change things, one thing that technology cannot change is the fact that people would always eat. Technology can change the process in which we grow the food, in which we do those things, but people would always eat. So it means that there's always a market for this venture. All right, this is one venture that will not go extinct rather. All right, the only thing is the process or the method in which we get the food from the farm to the mouth or to the table rather is what can change, and that's where strategy and innovation comes in. Uh, my previous panelists have spoken, I mean, killed it fantastically well. And the previous person spoke about innovation being basically, working on an existing product. That's basically what it is. That's basically what we need. But I think I should also put something down, which is no matter what you you need to be ready for the dirty work. No matter what you want to, no matter how you want to go about agriculture, still be ready for the dirty work. Although there are different sectors in agriculture that every youth can venture into, right? You can be like my brother here, Mr. Joseph, and venture into agri-tech. With that, you may not have to do a lot of dirty work, but you still have to go to the bush. You still have to connect with the farmers doing the dirty work. So first off, that understanding of the fact that there's always a market for this field, people would always it should be there, and then that should also help build the passion you have about agriculture. All right, you position your mind on wanting to see Nigeria or Africa being food secure. Position your mind on wanting to see, you know, food being available and accessible and affordable and all of that. And then that would also help you to develop strategies or to develop new methods that would make agriculture beautiful. Can agriculture be beautiful? Yeah. All right. That basically involves just showing people that, oh yeah, this is a good man. You can make a lot of money from agriculture. You can get a lot of you can make higher interest or higher returns on your investment in agriculture than many other fields. That's the honest truth. When if you talk about commodity trading, when you talk about just processing what you want to sell, you make way, way, way more higher returns in agriculture than any other field. All right, there are just few fields that will do better than agriculture. So it's a gold mine. It's where you can get a lot of money on, but you have to be ready to do some brain work. For example, again, what my previous panelist said, she made reference to pap. All right. So, for example, there are people who are producing pap and they're making maybe just around 200 naira or so per kg of what they sell. But they're the ones who are doing the due diligence of properly processing it, packaging it, giving it a better look, adding some flavor, and then exporting. And they're making over 2,000 naira per kg. So it just depends on how you look at. You have to come correct. You have to be ready. You have to be ready to use your brain. You have to be ready to dig deep, think outside the box. How can I get things to work? And once you do that, I believe, of course, you're going to enjoy agriculture, and also, being able to just digitize what is going on, showing people. So I think it's also a call to us, in the field, to show people the attractive parts of agriculture as well. It's not just about doing the dirty work. It's also about making good money. It's also about, saving lives as well. Ensuring that there's food available for people to eat, and a lot of other things. Well, it's a wonderful venture for everyone to go into. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I really love how you answered the question and how you made it as realistic and practical and as possible. Truth be told, for certain persons, there are people who doesn't even want people to see it as attractive, just like he said earlier, right? But I think there's still the need to bring more people into it because there's lot of scarcity in certain products, and so there's just a need to bring all that. And thank you so much for how you've been able to answer that. Really appreciate it. So before I throw the next question to Joseph, I see two questions in the comments on the YouTube channel. And I think I'll just talk about one and then leave the other question to anyone amongst the panelists that want to say something about that. So the first one that I'm just going to say here was or is what policy or ecosystem support can better position Nigerian youths to drive agricultural innovation beyond the farm level, considering the constant changes all over the world and even here. The truth is, in my own opinion, we can talk about policies all day, but if we are not engaging with government, I think it's not really going to be effective yet. So, why that is a very valid question, would reserve that question to when we have the opportunity to sit with the government and discuss with them about policies and all of that. Thank you for sharing that, Ayo Mide. Thank you. Then the other question was, or is rather, how can we expand agriculture in the South? Because from my findings, I discovered that agriculture is very difficult in the South. So I don't know, does any or any one of the panelists want to throw light to that?
Sorry, can you come again with the question?
Okay, the question is, how can we expand agriculture in the South? Because from my findings, I discovered that agriculture is very difficult in the South.
Hmm.
Mr. Elvis, do you
How
want to
can
take
we?
that one?
Okay, I can say something, and you could also still go on. Let me just drop
Okay.
my 2 cents. And I think where I got attracted to the question is because I'm in the south as well. So let me say just a few things again. So agriculture is one venture that it's determined by the location as well. All right. Um, I mean that's the way it was made. Although now things are changing. All right. Now things are changing. We're learning that see what soilless farm is doing. You really don't need to depend on the soil to farm anymore. All right. We're learning a lot of things, but of course, the natural way or the way it works is dependent on the locality. And what that did over time is that it made people in that region to be used to a certain type of food. So I think that's what's actually playing out in the south. People in the south are now used to a certain type of food. There are things that they want to eat. You can't find what they eat in the north and you know, make a lot of money off a year. But when you come here and you're doing things like cassava, all right, it's popular here. We eat it a lot. Or for example, catfish. It's in large quantity. So when you're in a place like this, you have to boil it down to what the market needs. But also the market still needs those things that come from other places. That's why we bring in a lot of things from the north and the west. So if you're innovative enough to do something like what Solar's Farm is doing, beautiful. That was also a way to still go about it. But I hope my response helped a bit. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Mr. Elvis, for sharing that with us. For the person that asked that question, saying, how do we expand agriculture in the South? So I think that there's so much going on in the South. However, you might not be aware if you are not interacting in those spaces. For instance, Lady Sheila Moore, she's in the South, at least Southwest, which is Ibadan. Mr. Taiwo, which he had mentioned as well, he's doing something really great with farm fixes. He's also in the Southwest as well. Mr. Elvis is in the South, he's in Delta State. So there's so much going on within the space that you might not necessarily know about, except you are deliberate enough to want to find out information about it. And in terms of the question was how can we expand into the south? There's already so much going on in the south, but just like Hervis highlighted, is what exactly are you interested in? Are you interested in animal rearing? You could start out with poultry. Are you interested in crop rearing? Because even in the south here, we grow a lot of cassava. This way down here, we grow a lot of yam. We grow a lot of tomato if you're able to, own like a greenhouse as well. So there's so much happening. It just depends on how well informed you are and how proactive you are, right? How well informed you are and how proactive you are. Just for instance, if this event was not taken to like the leadership of so many institutions within Nigeria, you would not even know about it, that this event is happening today. So scripture will say that where a man's treasure is, his heart should be there. Where a man's heart is, his treasure should be there. So if it's something that you're really keen about, you want to find out more information about it and then want to apply yourself. So within the South, so much is going on. But if you're not in that space, you might not necessarily know that so much is going on. In terms of difficulty, every agricultural endeavor has its own unique set of challenges. However, can you manage it? Yes. Will it be difficult most times? Yes. And that's where the innovation that has been talked about a lot today will come in. Is that part where you are iterating, okay, what's working, what's not working, what can I adjust, what can I do better, right? So the very first start point is just getting more knowledge and then applying that knowledge. Because so far, I think I've interviewed 52 speakers on the AIAN podcast right now. And so for every time I asked every single speaker, and I say, for every person that wants to get into agriculture right now, particularly where that particular speaker is an expert on, and I say, what's like the first step they can take? The answer usually is usually knowledge. So you want to get yourself much more acquainted with what's happening in your environment if you're really in the South, and then start out from there. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so very much. And that was very brilliant answer. Thank you again for asking that question. So the next question goes to Joseph. And when I saw the question, I was like, no wonder, because I don't know why, but looking at your picture, it was just giving this tech vibe. I was like, why is it giving tech vibe? But when I saw the question, I was like, oh, no wonder, no wonder. So the question is, in your view, what makes agri-tech the true game changer for Africa's agricultural future?
All right. Thank you very much. Unfortunately, I may not be able to turn on my camera, but good evening, everyone. From here, congratulations, peace on hosting this and also on the launch of your book. In my view, what makes agri-tech the true game changer for Africa's agricultural future? I would start by saying that uh, agri-tech is not agriculture, and I hope that makes sense. So for you to be able to bring in technology into agriculture, like Elvis had stated earlier, you need to understand what agriculture is in itself, understand the ropes, be in the reality of things. You don't just sit down in your bubble somewhere in Lagos or somewhere in the UK or somewhere in the US and try to design an app or a solution for people that are in Warawa local government in Kano State or Biu local government in Adamawa or somewhere in Ijebu Ode in Ogun State, thinking that it would work for them, just like the way it works in other climes, because uh, our agricultural climate in Africa and Nigeria specifically is very, very different when it comes to adoption of technology. But why is agri-tech the true game changer? It's because it eases the process. It takes away a lot of bottlenecks, and it's beyond just mobile app. It's beyond marketplace. It goes on to mechanization. It goes on to market access. It goes on to transparency. It goes on to trade. It goes on to communication, right? And it helps us redefine agriculture in that sense. Because I play majorly in like the data space of agriculture, I would say categorically that if we did not have technology, I don't think we'll be able to make informed decisions in agriculture leveraging data, because many of our processes would have been manual and we still have to go through the route of how we are taught mathematics and statistics in primary and secondary school. But For me, it's beyond digitizing farming. It's more of like shifting power and saying everybody has a mobile phone for now. How can I leverage that mobile phone in my hands to make processes easier for other people? How can I connect two people within the space together without leaving the comfort of my zone? And simply harnessing the power of or harnessing the power of technology that has been given to us by this generation to make a lot of sense, make money, create impact, and generate revenue, cause struggle sometimes, but no, please don't cause struggle. That's on the lighter note. But also cause people to think strategically about how to solve problems for agriculture. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you for that brilliant response. And yes, I do agree. Cause trouble. There are some good trouble that you can cause that will bring up more opportunities. That was on a lighter note, by the way. So the next question goes to Emmanuel, and it says, many youths think exporting is for big players. How can small agripreneurs start small and still succeed globally? This question is for Emmanuel.
Okay. Thank you very much for that question. First of all, I think if I want to answer that, we first need to define what agro-commodity exportation is. Right? Is basically exporting or trading agricultural produce from one location to another. Right? So is more like an example of you are in Abuja and you have a customer in Lagos and you want to send your product to the customer through God is good. So maybe after a week, somebody in Canada is also requesting for a product. You have to look for cargo to send, and the capacity goes up and up, and you have to use container to do shipment. So it's not a big man thing. It's not a big player thing. To me, I feel is based on capacity, right? The reason why we see it as a big player thing is because of capacity. So I know friends who are doing 5 container every month, right? I know people who are doing 7 containers every month, 10 containers every month, right? But I still know people who are doing 200 kg to Canada consistently. So it's not a player thing. It's not a big man thing. It's just based on capacity, right? If you're doing 1 kg, 10 kg, 20 kg, you are exporting. If you're going through air or you are shipping through what's it called, sea freight, it's the same thing. So there is nothing like big player. Everybody is just playing their own part, right? And also, it's the mindset of we need to kind of like change the mindset of what uh, the business really entails, right? People think you need a lot of money. That's why we see it as big player thing. You don't need too much, right? Basically, you just need to find a product, right? Start wherever you are. So if you want to do value added product or you want to export raw products, you can start from anywhere, right? You can start from cassava product, processed cassava product, and you export, right? You can start from any product. So pick your level, pick your capital, pick your capacity. And before that, I would like to also say, is most time is not basically capital. It basically has to do with financing because export in its sense is not a business that you have to kind of raise millions, right? If you have a good contract that comes with a letter of credit, confirmable letter of credit, I think there are many financial institutions that are going to finance you. So there is no big player in this thing. It's just trade with the level you are, trade the kind capacity that you have, and just make sure you're having buyers that are buying your product, right? And that's simple. I made an example in one of the conference I attend. I talked about somebody that is in one corner, a friend of mine exporting cow horn. Now nobody's doing that product. So somebody's exporting cow horn every month. He's doing 20 feet container exportation. He's a big player in his own feed. So it's capacity and finding your own part and just play your own part. So there is no big man thing. I think we have to kind of correct that impression. So it's an everybody thing. And if we see it like a big man thing, people are going to be scared. So that's why organizations like this, trainings like this, and again, thanks to Ms. Osas for this kind of program, we just need to enlighten people. It's not a big people thing. It's a general business. So we not scare people away and they feel you have to become this And I think I will have to also say this here. The same aspect of the business is for big people. Somebody told me one time, he said, this your business, they are cartel, right? They are cartel. If you don't run the cartel, you can't. I say it's not possible. I don't belong to any cartel. Maybe I belong to Jesus cartel. I don't know. But I believe there is no cartel. It's just find your spot, find your product, and find your buyer and export. You can start small. So let me also say this. We have to also build this, we have to kind of build a mindset or give people this orientation that just the way life is, where growth is very important, is the same thing in export business. You start small, you grow, from there 1 ton, from there 5 tons, from there 1 container, from there you are doing 5 container. It's just growth. I started off doing air cargo, right? From there I started doing 20 feet. Then I started doing 2 containers every month. Then I proceed to 5 container by the mercies of God, and we continue like that. So if I was starting, when I started very small, will you say I'm not a player? I'm a player, just that I'm probably at the other side of the pitch. But all of us are just running the business. So I think we need to correct that mindset. It is not a big man thing. It's not a big player thing. It's a general business. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You said a lot. I was trying to like process certain things that you said, and while I was trying to process, you were already dropping other things. And first off, the next question goes to Oluwaseun. But there was something that you said that you said it's because it was like something that should be common to agri farmers. But I found it like, oh, really? That actually is a thing where you said that it's not about capital, like it's about financing. And when you said that if you have like a contract and you have a letter of credit, that you can actually get funds. And I'm like, oh wow, so that's actually a thing. And if I could think that way, I believe that there were a lot of, or there are a lot of people who are watching this or who will watch this who didn't really know that that was a thing, that you don't have to have all the money yet. You just need to have a contract and then have a letter of credit, and there are institutions that will be ready to fund you. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much, Mr. Evans. Thank you. So the next question goes to Oluwaseun. Sorry, to Emmanuel rather. Thank you. The next question goes to Oluwaseun, which is many young people struggle with identifying opportunities. What hidden or overlooked areas in food and nutrition hold great promises today or great promise today?
Okay, thank you, Isosa. Thank you for the question. When I think about this question, I'm very passionate about this. And I would say that because here in Nigeria, we find that many people who go to study agronomy, microbiology, and courses like that end up becoming what? Bankers. Right or right? Right, yes. And this is
Right.
something that is quite
It's true.
popular and rampant in Nigeria. And we get to realize that the talent that is being wasted, the years of experience, 4 years of experience that is being wasted, that we need in Africa, we need in Nigeria, we need in Africa, is greatly underutilized. So this question is I'm passionate about this question. And that will lead me to my first point. One of the things that I believe, specifically in crop farming, because you have to realize that I'm a farmer in crop. I'm a I do crop production. I'm a farmer, and I do processing as well of those crops. So I would say that, you know what? Let me just tell the story. One of the things that we lack as farmers, let me roll my sleeves, is access to quality seeds as farmers.
Mm,
Access to quality seeds in Nigeria. And let me speak for other African countries. We don't have a centralized seed market. Our seed market is not centralized, especially for our locally farmed produce. And so many times you find that many farmers are playing a game of what we locally call timbo timbo. Will it work? Will it not work?
let's try this out. Let's, try out the seedlings. It's always a serious game of that. So, talk, talking from the science point of view, what I believe, one of the things that is genuinely underlooked or overlooked is people that will cultivate, improve the quality of our seeds. I don't even know if Nigeria has any serious seed manufacturing companies. I know that Dutch nations do, and many times the seeds that we get, especially with things like sweet corn, are from nations abroad. Beef tomatoes, let's even come down to our local corn, our ugu, fluted pumpkin leaves, amaranth, shoko, what we call Lagos spinach. We don't have um, access or a place where these seeds are being improved on. And so many times it's always a game of will it work or will it not work? So I think that I think that the sciences in agriculture is one of the things that are highly overlooked and underlooked. I think that it's going to be a great game changer. I also think that research is a huge underlooked aspect of agriculture. Our plants, our foods, things like fonio, they need to gain grounds on a global scale, on the global stage, because of how nutrient dense they are. Our plants like amaranth, and this is where researchers come in. Unfortunately, many people are chasing everybody likes to go in the same direction. So when they say we're doing pap production, everyone goes to pap. We're doing Gary, everybody goes to Gary. So nobody wants to really um, um, take a step back and look at what are the real problems, what are the real challenges. Another challenge is cold storage and preservation. This one, it will shake the entire table of food security in Nigeria and Africa. A nation that has lack or reduced preservation and proper cold storage logistics system. How is it possible that we wouldn't face food insecurity? So these are underlooked and so you use the word underlooked, right? And underutilized hidden gems that
Yeah.
Nigerians can come up with solutions for. I can count on my fingers how many cold storage solution companies are in Nigeria, and I'm sure that everyone agrees with me. There are very few. So I've mentioned three things. I mentioned when it comes to food preservation and storage, logistics, especially with logistics. Can a farmer properly take his produce from Kaduna, his tomatoes, to Mile 12 markets, to Mile 2 markets in Lagos without him having half of this produce spoiling? Is it possible? I would say no, it's not possible at the moment, right? So these are underlooked and underutilized things that are existing that Nigerian youths can step up. Let us stop chasing following the crowd. Let's sit back. Let's use our brains. It's time for us to use our brains and look for real solutions, create real solutions to existing problems so that we are actually making a change in our continent, Africa. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for that brilliant response. I was going to mention earlier, I like how you articulate your words. Um, Also, just like you said, I think Osarwe said this earlier. I was like, it's up to us to make the change that we want to see in agriculture. And you also reiterated that when you made mention that take a look, like take a step back, and it's the young people. It's up to us, the young people, to do something about it. We're not expecting our parents or grandparents who are like 60, 70 to come and be, designing template of innovations for all of this problem. No, it's up to us, the young people, to do something about this and create an easier environment for those that are into agriculture too as well. So the next question we're going to Joseph, and question is, many youths are digital natives. How can they leverage skills in technology, coding, or data to create real impact in agriculture?
All right, thank you. So many youths are digital natives. How can they leverage technology, skills in technology, coding, or data to create real impact in agriculture? It goes back to what I stated earlier when I was speaking that before you decide to set out to solve a problem in agriculture, have real-time experience in it. So firstly, for those agricultural students that are here, this would be like me busting your bubble, but everything you learn in school about agriculture is not what it is in the real world. So sorry, you have to dump all those theoretical stuff and go experience agriculture itself outside school, and then you now know how to leverage the technologies that are available. So for a start, it might be you having like knowledge of data analysis and you synthesizing all the information and the data that are out there, or what you even used for your undergraduate thesis or postgraduate thesis, and making sense out of it to design a solution. Must not necessarily be a technology enabled solution, but something that addresses a cost. It might be you designing a program, it might be you coming up with a project, right? The second part might come from the angle of either you as someone who has an interest in either drones or IoTs, or maybe you have interest in writing codes and you've identified a need and you're like, okay, this is a need and I have the skill set to solve it. So I think in my first initial conversation with Peace, I was mentioning to her that many a times we as individuals forget that we have our place of strength or we have our interest and then we chase other things instead of us bringing our interest into agriculture and trying to um, develop real-time impact in that sense. So if you are also a storyteller or a digital marketer or a writer, whatever it is that you do that you enjoy doing, bring it into agriculture and leverage technology to put yourself out there. It might be you being a graphics designer and volunteering to design graphics for a particular agricultural organization. It might be just something random, right? That you enjoy doing. Basically, bring it into agriculture, and um, I feel I'm going to be saying the same thing over again because it's just you finding your interest and playing to it and ensuring that it works out for you. So for the longest time, I knew I wanted to do agribusiness and agri-tech, right? And my core was agriculture in terms of like education, but I knew I was not limited to agriculture. So I had to fuse business and technology into it. And here am I today, right? So for you, it might be something else. Maybe it's the gospel you want to preach, and agriculture is how you want to preach it, and you want to win souls by basically preaching to rural people and improving their lives and winning souls for God. Go ahead and do it. Yeah, you can create real impact in that sense. And at the end of the day, you define what impact or success is, and you benchmark it against what you are doing and what you've done in the past, as against what the world defines impact for you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for that brilliant response, Joseph. So, just because Joseph needs to leave very soon, so I'm just going to ask him one more question and then I'll let him go. So, your question, looking ahead 5 to 10 years, what digital pathways should African youth focus on? The question again, looking ahead 5 to 10 years, what digital pathways should African youth focus on if they want to lead innovation in agriculture?
All right. Firstly, let me say when it comes to technology or digital parts in agriculture in Africa, we've not scratched the surface, right? So, first caveat will be to not go and import solutions that work in saner climes in other countries and try to implement them in agriculture. I would say if you want to be a leader in agriculture in the next 5 to 10 years digitally, go solve problems around data for agriculture. This is something I'm passionate about, but yeah, it would be good to have so many people that are solving the data problem. So I don't have to start disturbing myself to go collect data of rural communities and create like one database for the entire Nigeria when it comes to agriculture. I can just plug into your API and do what I need to do and make decisions. Secondly, it's going to be in making food desirable for people. And we're already doing that agro-linking basically with our food traceability solution, ensuring that people are able to trace and track what they are consuming, right? So people are becoming food, health conscious. The global market is moving towards nutritious food. How can you make food desirable for people to consume? I understand that because of our economy, people are consuming basically for survival, but there is a 1% of the 1% that are very conscious about what they consume and they are willing to pay expressly and heavily out of their pockets for you to provide them with that value. Thirdly, it would be in terms of making information accessible to people. So many people reach out to me on a daily basis and are like, "Oh, Joseph, I want to invest in agriculture. Where should I put my money into?" And to be honest, I don't advise people on areas to put their money into in agriculture, so that when you lose at the end of the day, you don't come back for my head and say, "Oh, it's Joseph that advised you to put your money here." To be fair, if you are not going to be in it and you don't understand the business of agriculture, don't put your money in agriculture. Just go do something around, maybe you buy mutual funds or buy bonds and whatever it is, or buy stocks, than giving someone else your money and you're not following up on the market yourself. So yeah, fintech solutions are going to be a big thing, right? Because access to finance in agriculture has become an issue, and we for the impact funders, we can't adequately track impact as against the fund that's already coming. So people have become more diligent and more constrained with their funds. So you need to be able to build solutions that de-risk either farmers or stakeholders across the value chain for them. Information, as I mentioned earlier, be able to distill information in the lowest form possible that even the layman by the roadside will see it and know how you as an agricultural person impacts his day-to-day life or his pockets, or how without you, he may not be able to eat. And yeah, AI is good, but we need to solve the data aspects first before we bring AI into discussion, right? And lastly, I'll say cross-border trade, digital trade platforms where we're able to connect with people in other countries that need our products, and we're able to facilitate trade seamlessly. I think those are the things that we can do on our end while also ensuring that we are producing stuff that meets sustainability, that also contributes to sustainability. Thank you very much. I may have to drop off now, and any other questions can be sent to Peace, and she'll forward it to my email, and I'll do my best to respond to them and send them back to her. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so very much, Joseph. Thank you. It has been a pleasure having you share this insight with us. Thank you so very much. We'll be in touch. Thank you.
Thank you. It's an honor.
Okay, so next, this question goes to Epis, which is if you were to design a roadmap for African youth in agriculture, what would be the first three steps to take immediately?
If I were to design a roadmap for African youth, what would be the first three steps to take immediately? I believe that's the question, right?
Yes, yes.
First things first is okay. I think the first thing I would say is knowledge. All right, that's the first thing I would, hammer on. See, without the right knowledge, you can't get anything done. And with the right knowledge, you don't even need capital. If knowledge is a capital on its own, I think that's one thing that you should understand. Knowledge is a capital on its own. It happens in every, venture, and it's really, really, really particular. I mean, it's serious in agriculture. Knowledge is a capital of its own. With the right knowledge in agriculture, you don't need to have the money yourself. You can raise the money. With the right knowledge in agriculture, you don't need to have the money yourself. You can raise the money. Then another important thing is, having access to the right network. So I've said knowledge. Second thing is having access to the right network. All right, because when you have the knowledge, you need to know who to meet. All right, you need to know the people to reach out to, the people to connect with. You need to know the ones to, collaborate with. the ones to trade with, and all of that. All right. When you have the right knowledge, you can carry what you have in your head and meet somebody and convince them to give you the funds. You can convince somebody to even sell to you on credit when you have the right knowledge because you know what you are doing. That's why it's a very bad idea to enter into or to venture into anything agriculture or even any business at all. It's very bad to venture into any business that you are not properly, built. You're not properly. You don't have a lot of knowledge on. It's very bad. But once you have a lot of knowledge, once you know what you are doing, you are certain. You know your onions. They can wake you up. You can convince anybody to invest in you. And then you need to have the right network so you know who to meet and who to you should be able to connect the dots in your head. If I meet this person, okay, this is a buyer, all right, and this is a seller. I could easily, serve as a middleman and make a transaction and keep something for myself. All right. And then another thing I could, put in is I think I'll call it being able to connect the dots. That's the third thing. Being able to connect the dots in your head. Know who to meet for whatsoever reason. And also very important is take a very good look at what I was already on ground. All right. Not just the big agri-tech companies, springing up or the amazing solutions. Look at the traditional agricultural businesses as well. Look at them. There's a lot to learn from them. Look at them. Study their structure, study their culture, study the business, and you see some things that you can implement into your own and make your own better as well. So I think those are little things that youths could look at to succeed in agriculture. Um, yeah, I think those are the little things that I would put some insight on. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Like, thank you so much for your time and all the insights that you've shared with us. I would not even want to start going all over what you've said. But you see that part of network, having the right network, very, very important. And thank you so much again for sharing. So we're just going to ask the last set of questions and then we'll wrap up this panelist session. And I want to thank every single person that has been on this session from the beginning to our amazing keynote speaker, to all our speakers, and even to our panelists. Some of these panelists have been on this live since like the beginning of this whole summit. So thank you so very much. We see you, we do not take it for granted. And to our amazing participants, thank you so much for showing up for this summit because truth be told, this summit will not be complete without you. We could go ahead and say things all we want, but if you're not there to listen, to take action, and to implement these things, then what's the point? So thank you very much for staying tuned. And some of you have been on this summit since the beginning and even till now. And one very vital thing which you should take note of is that if you are joining us now and you've not subscribed to this YouTube channel, please subscribe, turn on notification because this is not the end of education on agriculture on AIAN. So we're going to be having other series sessions, other events, other podcast sessions where we break down different aspects of agriculture. So it's important that you subscribe to get all of these updates. So if you've not subscribed, this is me saying click that subscribe button and turn on the notification. Thank you. So the next question is going to be like the last question for Emmanuel. If every young African farmer had one product to export, um, I'll take that again, sorry. So if every young African farmer had one product to export in the next 12 months, what would you advise them to focus on and why?
Wow. Okay. That's a very tricky question. Okay. First of all, we'll start with before you even pick a product, right? You need to first understand the use of the product, which has to do with usage, right? What's the product used for? Because most times if not every time, usage triggers demand. So if you want to pick a product, you are sure first of all pick a product that has high demand, right? And for me, I don't want to be a bit biased because I'm more of a value added exporter. So I will like to stay under the umbrella of value addition, right? So which product? I would say cassava based product, right? Like cassava starch. And hold on, you don't necessarily need to have factory whatever. You can outsource for them, right? So cassava based product, basically because of the usage, right? If you look at cassava starch, right, you see pharmaceutical companies are using it. The capsule you take, right? Cassava starch is part of the formulation. So people take capsule, paracetamol, and the rest of them. So there's usage for cassava starch, right? Cosmetic companies, they use it as thickener. Uh, Currently, India is currently using it, and some other cassava produce for biogas, biofuel, and other things. So there is massive usage, and that alone triggers the demand. So I would say cassava product, cassava starch most especially, because another thing I will add is the what's it called, disposable plastic plate you use. It's cassava based product that you used to put. The one to Fashola, oh yeah, so Wolu band in Lagos. It's from cassava starch and cassava made products. So the usage is enormous. People use it, right? For one, I've done the exportation of cassava starch twice, packaged in 25 kg, right? And the demand is still there. Probably the client has one or two white man tweak. So which is why I just had to let him go, because obviously you don't do business without making a profit, and you just have to ensure that you are also helping yourself and also helping your staff, and everybody's happy, right? So the demand is there. Many countries, the US, UAE, Canada, there is huge demand. So for anyone listening to me, you want to go into a product for 12 months. Now, let me talk about the 12 months, because 12 months basically has to do with preservation. So that's basically why I had to go for value added product, because when you add value to product, you are not just getting more value for the product, you're also preserving the life shell of the product, right? So because of that, 12 months, you have to buy enough, because every product you see has seasons, right? So for you to stay consistently throughout the whole season, you must ensure that you buy large capacity and you process. Or if you want to outsource, you work with a company that has that same systematic, more like templates, where they produce also for all seasons, so that you will not run out of a product. So cassava product for me is the go-to for me, for anybody thinking of going to the business. And additionally, before I conclude, the reason why I pick cassava, right? Don't mind me, I love fufu, but that's by the way, right? The reason why I picked cassava is basically because uh, every agricultural produce has the tendency to reproduce 5 to 6 products, right? And it's not just agricultural produce. I think everything on earth, right? Petrol, crude oil, you get petrol, you get jet fuel, you get other things. The same thing with agricultural produce. So you can get cassava product. Cassava, you get gari, you get fufu powder, which is one of my best products, and it gives me good profit. La la la, I make money from that also. So you get cassava, fufu powder, highly on demand in the UK, in America, in Canada. You can go into gari. I just sent one recently, and the demand, they are still requesting for more. So you just have to, let me just say, you go into cassava-based products. So anybody that want to venture into, please go for cassava-based product. Shea butter is doing well, cocoa is doing well, but cocoa is expensive, so it's not for beginners, right? It's not for beginners. It's for people that have made it in life, right? And lastly, I would just say, first of all, you need to have understanding of the product before you go into the product. So knowledge is important. As a matter of fact, like one of the what Elvis said, knowledge is also a currency, right? It's also a currency. So you must have knowledge before you go into such products. And I wish you all the best. Thank you very much.
at this point, I feel like chatting chai. Let me control my steez so that let me just control my steez. First off, that was amazing. Um, of course, there was no introduction for me, so I'm not a agricultural person yet, though I have like a long term vision for doing like a large acre farm and stuff like that, which I'm already taking steps towards doing that. Um, Me just hearing all the things that you've said, and yes, of course, the previous speakers, I'm like, why not abandon all the things that you're doing now, just go into agriculture like this? It's so the opportunities are just very wide. Yes, I know that there are the challenges, there are like challenges for man, every single aspect. And this is a free, summit, and it may look like, oh, it's just one free event again on agriculture, but it is not. Like this information, if you pick one bit of it and just practice it, you'll be amazed by the result that you get. At some point, I was bending my neck like this. It was not that I was tired. It's that I'm like, this information are too much. Can we just wrap up and go? Let me go and implement something and then come back again, right? So thank you very much. Thank you so much um, for sharing that very thoughtful response. Next question, which is the final question for Oluwasheu, goes like this. Um, if you could give one challenge to African youth today in food and agro entrepreneurship, what would it be and why?
If I could give one challenge in food and
Yes, to
I
African
would,
youth. Yes.
yes. So allow me to give challenges, please. The first challenge I would say is we need to pivot quickly from being a consumer nation to being a manufacturing nation. You know, so yeah.
I love this.
So,
Please. Yeah.
so yes, and I say quickly, so not slowly, quickly. That means that many people need to start thinking of production or manufacturing. I love what my co-panelist Emmanuel said about cassava starch. You see, this is what I was talking about. What everyone is doing, Gary. The people who are making it in US dollars and foreign currencies, FX, are doing cassava starch. And I'm not saying that Gary is not making it to just no, no, no.
Yeah.
Bear with me. So I would say that we need to pivot. That's one of the things that I'll say. Because being a consumer nation means that we keep importing all the things we need, you know. But when we become a producer nation, we begin to export all our value added, wonderful gifts of agriculture to other nations to use, to other nations across the globe, to use. And that is where we can begin to say that we are exploiting agriculture, or we are even scratching the surface. But if we're not doing that, then we might still be a very poor. That's where people will say that agriculture is a poverty profession. So I would say that we need that's the first thing. Then the second thing I would say, the second challenge I would say is that no matter your profession, no matter your profession, I want you to think agriculture. Everyone should find their place in agriculture. Whether you are, I think it was Joseph that mentioned pastor. Talked about a whether you're a doctor, you can go into naturopathy. Whether you are a pastor, preach agriculture. Whether you are whatever you are, a pilot. I believe that we all need to find our place. We all need to find our place as in agriculture in Africa, because this is what we have now to explore. We cannot keep tilling on oil and gold and all these resources that have made us good in the past. We need to focus on what we have now, which is agriculture. And so everything that you have, whether any profession you are right now, let's look into agriculture. Let's exploit it, let's explore it, let's bring out all the best that we can from it. These are my two challenges for African youth.
Thank you
Thank you.
so very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I We look forward to taking up that challenge. Okay, so the next, which is the last question, goes to Evis. Maybe if we have time, man, just take one last sentence, last remark from each panelist, if we still have time. But the last question goes to Evis, and the question is, how can partnerships, networks, and collaborations help young Africans overcome systemic barriers in agriculture? And I know that what is coming up in your mind now is that, where do I start from? Because there's a lot.
There's truly a lot. So, well, again, I'll try my best to make it as simple as possible so that everybody can understand. Um, when you're faced with barriers, when you're faced with, obstacles, one thing that you can key into is collaboration. But first, let me even say this. First off, see obstacles or see barriers or see challenges as opportunities that have not been cracked. Because every obstacle, every barrier, every challenge, that is currently in Nigeria's agriculture ecosystem is simply an opportunity that has not been cracked. Is it means for you to create value and get a lot of money off that value that you're creating. But when you're faced with this kind of things, it requires that you bring heads together. All right. You could meet, for example, let's say you are producing. Let's say you have, maybe a farm in the north where you farm maize, for example, or you farm let's say, for example, maize, and you want to get access to the market. you know, Maybe to somebody like me who is a feed producer who uses, a lot of maize in a month. To reach out, you can simply partner with somebody who's doing something in agri-tech. All right. You can use tech as a means to reach out to people in different areas. So, you know, these are areas, by combining or collaborating with somebody in tech, in agri-tech, or tech, and then bringing adventure into agri-tech. By doing that, you have overcome the barrier of distance. All right. Because naturally you would not naturally see me. But by venturing into that aspect, going on the media, you have overcome that barrier. So, I mean, again, collaboration, partnerships are means to overcome barriers. One thing again that I would say is, don't be see. They say if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together, and it's very true. Right? It is very true. As a chief operations officer, one thing I believe in is working with a team, because there are things that you would never think of, no matter how smart you are. You need people. There are areas your mind can never get to. Never. No matter how wide you think. You need people, you need the idea of another person. You need the knowledge of another person. And when you bring it together, you come up with a masterpiece. So again, be very humble. Be humble enough to know that you need people. Be humble enough to know that you need the minds of others. Be humble enough to know that you need people, their ideologies on agriculture. Listen to it, receive it. Even the ones that may sound like rubbish, because there is sense in every nonsense. All right. So even the ones that may sound like rubbish, listen to it, you pick something of it. Get them together. Okay, bring us together and you plan. And before you know, you're coming up with a solution, that would overcome that barrier, and you're making money with that solution as well. So I think the answer is in the question itself. All right, leverage the collaboration. So again, this will require you going out, expressing yourself, telling people about what you're doing. It will require you always, revealing what you're doing, so people know you. All right, so you can connect with people. so you can, have that, relationships, because those are what you will not rely on when you're faced with a barrier, and before you know, you're overcoming barriers like they're nothing. So yeah, I think that's the response I have to that. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. You've said a lot already. Build a team, have people go with you, and that can be mentors, friends, whatsoever. And thank you so much for staying till this time and for being a part of this. Then right about now, I'm just going to give like our parting words. And when I say parting words, I don't know if we can just stay in the back end a bit, mute your mic, mute your camera, so we can take a group photograph later, or if we can just do that now so that we can let you go, whichever. But one last parting words from each of the panelists. So very brief, just something straight and forward. Thank you. I'd like to call Oluwaseun first.
Okay, thank you so much. I've really enjoyed this conversation, and I hope everyone has taken something beneficial from it. At the end of the day, yeah, at the end of the future and the present is in our hands, and it is what we make of it that it will be. It's not what we guess. It's not what we hope. It's actually what we make, like what we create out of it that it will be. So I really hope that I begin to see a lot of youths spring up with innovative ideas and imbibe creativity in their ideas and bring Africa and agriculture in Africa to the global stage. That's my desire and my wish. Thank you very much, Peace. Thank you very much to the team that planned this amazing conference. Well done. You've done an excellent job. Well done. This is a great conference. Very timely. Well done.
Thank you very much. Thank you. We really, really appreciate your presence. Thank you, Oluwaseun. Next is Emmanuel. Your final remarks, your parting words for us.
Okay. First of all, thank you, Mr. Sagoi, for this. I don't know if I pronounce. I'm Edo, but my kind of Edo is Northern Edo. So
You tried, you tried.
okay. So thank you for this
I'm also Edo.
amazing.
This is nice.
Okay, well done.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
All right.
We should do
Delta.
like a selfie or something.
Okay. Thank you very much for this amazing program. I do not take it for granted. I'm very happy to be among the speakers. Thank you for the book. Most definitely, I will place my own order for the book because I need to see what's going on there, and also share it to my mentorship students and everyone around me so they can also get it as well. Thank you for this platform. My last statement would be to everyone listening, youth, old, we must first understand that our fathers have built the foundation for us. They have sent the alarm or sound the alarm to the world, made the statement that Nigeria, Africa has agricultural produce. So what we'll be doing and what you and I and everyone that will be coming in is to lay the blocks. And we are not just laying the block or the blocks, we are laying it for the next generation that is coming. So we have to do our best so that it will not be difficult for the next generation that is coming. And lastly, let's do value addition. Enough of exporting raw materials. We need to go into value addition. That is where the money is. That is where the figure is. As a matter of fact, I saw the top 30 biggest exporters in the world. No African country was there. None. And that is a huge blow on our face because every country that was mentioned there, they receive or they get their raw materials from Africa. So the reason why they are there is because they added value. So as you're listening to me, think value addition. Think of a way to go in, add value, and export. God bless you. Once again, thank you for this platform. Thank you, Esosa. See this Edo thing, I don't Esosa. Thank you very much. God
I
bless
see
you.
that. Yeah. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Emmanuel. We cannot appreciate you enough. Thank you for your time. Thank you for the insights. I love how free you were with us, making it realistic and all of that. Thank you so much. Lastly, Evan, you have the floor, sir.
Again, I would say thank you to Osarikwe. Thank you so much. I'm really, really grateful to be here. Um, and well done, well done, well done, well done, well done, well done, well done. I mean, what you're doing is massive. It's massive. And to every other speaker, I mean, well done to you all as well. um, my last words would be, I'm sorry.
Probably a call came in for him.
Yeah. So, can you hear me? Yeah, my last words would be that nobody builds a skyscraper from the top. Start from the foundation. All right. Nobody builds a skyscraper from the top. Start from the foundation. And by starting from the foundation, what I'm saying is learn. Get on the field and learn. All right. Learn. Youth, learn. One of the major challenges we're facing, I didn't mention this earlier. I don't know how I forgot. But one of the major challenges we're facing in agriculture is, I don't want to use the word laziness, but unskilled labor. People don't want to go into the field anymore. People don't want, they just, I don't know where the concept of, just wanting to blow at once. It's a process. You can make a lot in agriculture, but first you have to learn. Start from the basics. All right. To the glory of God, my company that is doing what it's doing now did not start like this. This 29 years in agriculture that you're seeing play out. It did not start like this. Started as a small farm, grew to a mighty farm, factories, well, but it started just as a farm before we had stores. So start small, learn, and then all right. Don't be proud. Be humble. Meet people, learn from people as well. Get mentors, collaborate. All right, partner with people. But I mean, the main thing is go and learn, go and gain knowledge. Once you do that, you gain the knowledge, the right knowledge, and the right network. And once you build yourself, before you know, you'll be making a lot of waves in agriculture. But also, last word will be character. All right, shape your character, be a person of good character, and you would attract help. Be a person of good character, and you would attract people's good side generally. So thank you very much again for the opportunity here. Thank you so much, Mr. Thank you to the whole of AIAN. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you very much, Evis. It has been a pleasure having you. I love your energy. I love how you're able to make things relatable. And I love how you're able to give deep insights in such a short period of time. And right now, this is the point where I was supposed to reiterate everything that's been said from the beginning. But Omo, I lost track at Sheila's session. So what will I say? Because if I had to start writing all the points that was like hitting me hard, then I would not be moderating this session. I'll just be shouting and be screaming someone and be writing down points. So thank you very much. Um, I really, really appreciate all the speakers, Prof, down to Christian, even Joseph that's not here right now, but was at the beginning of the Emmanuel. Thank you again. Oluwaseru, my Edo sister. Well done, thank you. And of course, to the person who gave me this platform, our convener, Sarwe, thank you so very much. This is me just speaking that, as I've been like part of the team, like this is a huge work. A lot of persons who are attending have no idea what it took, how to put all of this together. Like even financially, even though it's virtual, but things went down. You don't want to know, but thank you so very much. And I would say I would recommend the book anytime, any day. Go get your copy if you've not. At least, if not for anything, let it be your subscription fee based on, or just somehow for all of this that has been shared and put together today. So thank you very much. At this point, I would want to hand over to our convener. I will just bring.
So everyone, thank you so much for staying with us from the very beginning. An amazing. It has been an amazing time just being here, having every single person be here with us from the very beginning till the end. Um, Thank you so much to my speakers, starting out from Professor Gabi, Mr. Adewale Adeoke, Mr. Christian Onyeka, Mrs. Sheila Moore, and also thank you so much to my panelists, Oluwaseun Wabadan. Thank you so much, Mr. Emmanuel Ojefo. Thank you so much, Elvis. Thank you so much, Joseph Fashola. I am immensely grateful for the help and the support to putting this together. Thank you also as well to ISOSA. Thank you to the AIAN community managers that as well helped to ensure that this is possible. I am immensely grateful. It's been a delight just serving in this capacity today. Um, Someone asked a question that I should think probably just address we go before we go. Let's see. The question is okay. Let me put it up on the screen. So I think my panelists that are still here, maybe you guys can say something to the question. For young people who would rather be involved via investment in any area of agricultural value chain, what are the opportunities? I think that this you definitely get to see a lot about this within the book, but I would say this is like an open question to my panelists that are still backstage. Is there anybody that will want to take on this question? Uh, Please go for it. Does anybody want to take up the question? I think I still have. Okay, Sharon, you're here.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
okay, Mr. Manuel. Yeah.
Okay. So for young people who would like to, or who rather involve in their investment, the agricultural value chain. Okay. First of all, you you need knowledge for every product or any product you want to go into. You need knowledge of the
Yeah.
business first before you talk about investment. Unless if you want to be a ghost investor, where you just put money and you just relax and you get returns, which I kind of feel you have to get someone that is very credible that has a high level of integrity before you do that. But if you want to do it individually, I would say palm oil, right? Palm oil production or palm oil business is something that I think is an opportunity, right? Because according to prediction, 2026 palm oil will surge very high. So once the season starts, you buy, then you sell, right? Or you look for a company that is into exports, but they are basically into low risk product for exports, right? So that's why you need knowledge. So because once you have the knowledge, you'll be able to identify high risk product and low risk product. So imagine a company that is into fresh ginger or fresh produce. You don't need to invest there. The risk is high. My hand has been burnt many times from fresh produce. So I've burnt my hands many times. So because of that, I don't really advise anybody. So you look for a company that is currently into either exportation or local trading and they have good sales network, right? Then you go in, right? But first, you must understand the business, understand the product they are into, identify the risk, and also look at the terms and conditions that is applied to any contract that is given to you and all of that. So, yeah, but if you want to do it individually, palm oil is a good product to start with. Then you can also resell if you want to, and also for export and all of that. So, that's what I have to say.
Fantastic, fantastic. Olosho, do you want to also chime in as well?
Yes, 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 yes. So I absolutely appreciate what my co-parents have said, and it's a very high level way to get into the investment in the cultural value chain. Of course, you have to do your research. So let me bring it down to earth. I'm sure that you know one or two or three people who are already in businesses. One of the ways that they advise young entrepreneurs to raise funds is through family and friends. It's called FFF. That's one of the ways. So I would say that as someone who wants to get into investment, look around you. There's someone who is probably doing one thing or the other. Get on the advisory board, sign legal documents with them. Work with, of course, because you're not going to be in the nitty-gritty of the business, but work with them, sign documents with them. It might not be a short-term investment, it might be a long-term, because when it comes to young startups, I wouldn't advise you to look short-term. I would advise you to look long-term. Look at businesses that have prospects, great prospects. So use your inner eyes. Let's just bring it down. Use your inner eyes. Look at businesses that have great prospects and give your value to them, not just monetarily, but once in a while, sit on the advisory board and believe for the best. So that's just bringing it down to yeah, that's what I'll say.
Fantastic, fantastic. Thank you so much, Oluwaseun. I like the fact when you talked about um, there's always someone around you that you could definitely work with on that to just sort of gain more insight and definitely be an active participant in that. So thank you so much for sharing. I'm just gonna before we go today, I'm just gonna share a bit about much more of the insights that are within the book, so that people can get to know. Because I haven't mentioned so much about it whilst we're here. I'm just going to share a bit about some of the insights within the book. First off, um, I could definitely. Okay. Um, so I would put up an image of what it looks like for those that are yet to see what the books look like, so you get to see it as well. Okay. I wanted to show a picture of what it looks like first, so you guys can see it, and then share a couple of insights that you would find within the body of the work that has been done. Fantastic. So this is what the book looks like. Um, it's called Agriculture Beyond Famine: A Pathway to Economic Prosperity. And so one of the reasons why I took out the time to do this was because I wanted to be able to create sort of a mindset shift. Every change starts with awareness, and awareness comes with having the right information about the subject matter in question. And over the years, the narrative that so many persons have pushed, or that is being pushed, or is that agriculture is, having a farm, just seeing a farmer and the farm bent over, sunburnt, struggling, tattered, and when a person hears that, I am a farmer or I'm an agriculturist, automatically people have the perception that you are suffering, you're engaged in an activity that is treacherous, there's nothing to write about you. However, because of the advancements and the evolution of things, there's so much agriculture right now. And I believe that is a pathway to economic prosperity. And that's why the subtitle of the book is A Pathway to Economic Prosperity. Because I believe that within agriculture in itself, it has the potential to create jobs, it has the potential to feed families, it has the potential to feed communities, it has the potential to feed the nation. And one of the I found out a lot of interesting things as I worked on the book, that 65 or 60% of the world's arable land is in Africa. And that what that tells you, that if you are an African, you have so many things to your advantage. But the truth is, if you have something to your advantage and you're not aware of it, you're not able to leverage on it. Therein lies the challenge. If you have something that is to your advantage and you do not know about it, you are not able to leverage on it. And so that is one of the things that this book would help with, helping people understand what they have to the advantage and active participants, because for so long a lot of persons, whether young old, one of the episodes I had a while back was interviewing um, the founder of Coconuto, which is Femi. His name is Femi Jacobs. He created a dehusking and a deshelling machine. So what does his machine does? It ensures that you're not using cutlass to uh, peel coconuts. You're not using knife to take out the coconut fruit itself from the shell. And that's an example of someone leveraging their mechanical engineering skill in agriculture. He's a Nigerian. He went to, he is a graduate from one of these Western universities, Southwest Nigeria. So those are like common opportunities that are within it. So understanding agriculture beyond farming is that agriculture is food, agriculture is textile, agriculture is technology, agriculture is energy, agriculture is medicine, agriculture is financing. I remember Professor Gabi talking about the fact that, you know even in agriculture we still need accountants. We need people to help us understand financing. You know, going back to what Mr. Jeffo talked about when talking about, the question that was asked about, you needed to be a big player to be able to do a lot within agriculture. He just said you needed to understand financing. As much as capital is required, actual cash is one way of capital. But understanding how financing work could also be a game changer, right? For global, the global potential of the African agriculture is huge. The global potential for African agriculture is huge. Like I mentioned, 60% of the world's arable land is in Africa. You know what that means? That means arable land means that a land that has the ability to grow things.
60%, that's more than half of the entire world's arable land is in our continent. So we are blessed. You're blessed to be an African. You're not disadvantaged to be an African. A lot of the, I think it was one of our panelists that mentioned that a lot of the raw materials used for productions outside in the West or even in Europe, they are all gotten from Africa. They're all gotten from Africa. So there's definitely so much that can be done. Definitely so much potential within it. So much potential within it, right? It says the global agribusiness sector is worth over $8 trillion annually. I think it was only what we were talking about. We need to be more production conscious than we are more consumption conscious. Do you know that annually the amount of money we spend on importing things to utilize here is so much annually? Annually. And so where there are challenges, it shows you that there's also opportunity there. But if you are not aware that there are opportunity there, you might always feel like there's nothing there for you. The wealth is in the value chain. And I liked how Mr. Ojefu talked about value addition. Within the book, you see where I talked about value addition is just basically converting raw materials or raw produce into usable products. So rather than just taking out our cocoa pods, our cocoa seeds, our unprocessed cocoa, can we get our cocoa turned into chocolate bars? Can we refine our coffees here? Can we produce them here and export them out? The same applies to our cottons. Can we do that? Opportunity across the agricultural value chain, agribusiness, digital platforms, food technology, green energy solutions, textile and fashion, green energy solutions. There's so much within the space. But it all starts with a mindset shift. It all starts with a mindset shift. Understanding that agriculture is a science, understanding that agriculture is a business, understanding that agriculture is technology, understanding that agriculture can be a lifestyle, understanding that it's a global enterprise. Leveraging on technology. I think one of my guest on the podcast, Mr. Femi Adekoya, he's the founder of Era Precision in Nigeria here. They do a lot of work around using drone technologies. And I remember when I was interviewing him on the podcast, he mentioned that what would typically take someone, let's say 2 weeks to apply herbicides or pesticides or fungicides on a large expanse of land, with the drone, that can be done within an hour 30. And guess what? Young people are becoming drone pilots. Young people are learning to becoming drone pilots. That's an opportunity. 20 years ago, that was not something that was, feasible as a profession for someone in Africa. But people are becoming drone pilots. That's opportunity there. So these are like some of the informations you also get within the book. Building circular economy. Circular economy is basically ensuring that there is like zero waste. So it's like saying when we take out the grains from the cob of corn, we're able to still use the cob itself for feed production. So nothing goes to waste. When in poultry farms, the litter from the birds can then be cured or treated and then used back as manure to your fields. If you have, let's say, fishery ponds, rather than just draining out your pond and just flushing out the water. That same water can be taken to your tomato farm and still used to produce nutrients to your soil. So it's like end to end, there is no waste. That's just the whole logic behind circular economy. Is that our waste become useful and then used back again. So, dear Africans, young Africans, undergraduates, recent graduates that's on this call today, my call to action to you: hate yourself. You have to leverage your network. You have to collaborate across borders. You have to be able to be part of policy conversations. And then dream big, dream globally, dream big, start small, and grow big. I want you to know that the future is in our hands. Just as it says, the future is in your hands, is in our hands. It's in our hands. As we gather here today, and not as a continent of poverty, but as a continent that is the basket bread of the world, the hub of green innovation, and the global center for agro-business. This future, I believe it's possible. But it depends on whether we, which is you and I, shift from seeing agriculture as just farming to seeing agriculture as a wealth creation stream. You and I, we are the generation that will make this shift. You're the builders of industries, the pioneers of markets, and that are yet to be explored, the creators of wealth that are yet to be imagined. So you must remember this: that Africa does not need more job seekers. Africa needs more solution creators, more wealth builders, more global leaders. And agriculture beyond farming is definitely a pathway to this. So, together, I believe that we could definitely make this happen in our generation. One, summit till this very moment. It has been my pure delight to convey this event. And if you're yet to subscribe to the channel, please feel free to subscribe to the channel. We already have over 52 episodes. We've interviewed a lot of amazing persons doing great phenomenal work within agriculture across the continent. I can boldly and proudly say that we've interviewed people from South Africa, North Africa, West Africa, learn that is beyond what you're learning in your classrooms. So take advantage of these resources. Take advantage of learning opportunities. If there's one thing that every single speaker or panelist highlighted more is there's definitely a need for knowledge. Knowledge. The more knowledge you have, the more better choices you make. The more better choices you make, the more you see that things change and are being improved. So yeah, thank you so much. All right. This would be me closing out the session today. And please do get the book. And we look forward to serving you guys more in much more capacity. Thank you all for being here from the very beginning till the end. God bless you. Have a lovely night rest. Bye. Oh, you're sending me group photograph. Yes. Okay.
You can always take screenshots.